You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 12th day of July, 2016. And I'm going to kill that little booger. Ah, there we go. Got it. All right. Howdy. Happy Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? Went to church or didn't go to church. I did the other thing. Yep. Happy Tuesday. I just wanted to make sure. I had a few mishaps this morning, but you know, hey, that's life. That's life when you live on the hill. Hey, I'm working on something that will change the face of CFRN. More better. Okay. As some of you this morning who are part of the one trade a day program realized that at exactly quarter after on the dot, no trades. because I was jimmying with stuff. I was up all night jimmying with the stuff. And I thought I had the stuff, well, I was calling in Jim by the time the sun came up this morning. Well, it turns out I didn't know James, quite as well as I thought I did, because when I went to do the thing didn't do what it was supposed to do. But here's what I'm getting at. This whole business of all these different things that have to come together to make a certain thing happen at a certain time, I've come up with a better idea. But apparently it's not a better idea when it doesn't work properly. However, I did assure that the prices you got at the time you got them, which was the old time, were the right prices and the good prices. And to the couple folks that sent me a heads up last night that I had a number wrong on the Dow, and so I put it on the anytime you spot a number you think that might be wrong in the Concierge Trade Alerts, pop over to the Google Plus board, and if there's not a cryptic note that helps you understand the right number, then that means you're the first one to discover it. And no, you don't get a prize. But if you'll fire me off an email, because I'm still at my desk, bang, I can correct it. I'm not going to send all the emails again, but I'm going to cryptically post it. Not that cryptic so you can't figure it out. Plus, you can always just call me if you can't figure out. If you don't do puzzles, you can call me and I'll tell you what the number is, okay? So, I mean, I juggle so many numbers every day in so many different directions. For you, for this group, for that group, for some private individuals. I mean, the list goes on. My life's just this one mad swirl of numbers. But anyway, this is the part of the day I enjoy the most. I look forward to this part of the day because for 2 hours, nobody bugs me. And I like being not bugged. Now, to make sure I'm not bugged, I'm going to do one more thing real quick, so you just sit tight. There, some out of the corner of my eye was bugging me, and I couldn't give you my full attention. So listen, now this is going to sound like a Wall Street fable, I know, but it just is. But I'll tell it forever. I have never once in my life had a spontaneous nosebleed. Have you? Just think for a minute. Have you ever?
I used to get them all the time when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never. My kids get them, and I accuse them of something, and they go, "No, I didn't do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Nobody.
I used to get it when the air was really dry.
Nobody just gets a spontaneous nosebleed. Well, last night, I think it was during after hours trading. As soon as after hours trading started. Now, another time that you'll get a nosebleed is when you're at extremely high elevations. I don't know if some of you have ever been on top of the Empire State Building, or maybe you've been on the Titanic and you leaned way out over the bow, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm talking about that kind of height. And so I'm sitting here doing the numbers, and I'm just start gushing. I think it's at that moment in time that the stock market hit its all-time high. I'm a doggone human stock market barometer. I am. I blew my cap. I blew my cork. Like one of those little oil wells in the cartoons. I couldn't take the pressure anymore. But my headache went away. So that's a good thing. Now, we are at the ultimate all-time high. Right here. If you can see my screen.
Returning visitor.
We're at the tippy top. All right, now, if you can't see my screen, do this. Go to our home page at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered within 30 seconds, and you'll be able to not only hear our voices, but you'll be able to see our screens as well. Okay? I want you to do that. I want you to see these screens today. Got some good stuff to show you. I'm waiting to hear from both Mike Reed and also from Garrett to see if they're going to pop in on this, kind of a historic day. I got a feeling Mike Reed might, because he's a historic kind of guy. So, with that said, I need to talk about, for just a moment before I pass the mic over to Mike, I need to give you the numbers from around the world so you can kind of get a feel for, is it just America or is the whole world headed to outer space? All right, let's start in America. Dow Jones Industrials are up 126 points. NASDAQ up 39. S&P 500 up 16. Russell 2000 up 15. Now, all of those are 0.75%, with the exception of the Russell, which is 1.33%. In the commodity basket, we've got oil up $1.79, and this is the mystifier. Gold is down $18.60, as if we actually were standing on solid ground. Now, you and I know that's not true. We're in a world about to tumble over the edge into chaos, but I guess they don't care. In Asia, Nikkei up 386, that's 2.5%. Shanghai up 54 points, 1.8%. And last but not least, the Hang Seng baby up 344 points again today for a little over 1.5%. Now, we can't have it green all over the world, can we? Or can we? No, we can't. The DAX is up 130.
Returning visitor.
It's about 1 1/3. FTSE is down all of 2 points. So that's what prevents the entire world from being green, except for the gold thing, is the FTSE being down 2 points. So no big deal there. And the CAC is up 66 points, which is 1.5%. There are your major indices from around the world, and we are accelerating like some mad, out-of-control roller coaster, heading into some kind of destiny future that we can't even begin to imagine. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it, let me be the first to ask. Is it different this time? Oh, maybe it is. Let's see, we have no earnings, no profits.
New visitor.
There's a threat of nuclear war. Oh yeah, it's just like before. But yet somehow this time the outcome's going to become different. Now, if that weren't enough, let's throw into the mad spin the woman who, according to none other than Bernie Sanders himself, from his lips to God's ears, says she must become our next president. Should we have like a moment of silence for the nation? Not she worth a minute. Senator Bernie Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton on Tuesday after a tough-fought primary battle between the two Democratic presidential candidates. Appearing alongside Clinton in their first joint campaign appearance, Sanders said the former Secretary of State will make an outstanding president and that he's proud to stand with her here today. No, he's hoping he gets a job for the next 4 years as vice president. That's what he's hoping. He might be genetically, I don't know. I don't, she could go with a woman candidate, but that would really be stretching it. It's one thing to elect a woman president, but to elect a woman president and a woman vice president, and I have nothing against a woman being president. I've seen those TV shows, and they do really good jobs. So, no, I'm not against a woman being president. I just don't know that America's ready for two women in the Oval Office at the same time. What if their cycles sync up? Oh my gosh. Hide the nuclear codes. No. Ladies, come on now. You're laughing with me, right? Because we all joke about that. Maybe not in public, but we joke about it with each other, All right, let me get this conference thing turned off, because never fails. As soon as I go live, somebody wants to chat. And they usually want to say stuff like, hi. How many winning trades this month? How many losers? Michael, do you want to answer their question? Or do
I don't know how many winning trades versus losers, but I know how many winning days versus losing days.
Okay, give it to me real quick, and then I'm going to turn this thing on.
All days winning.
Okay.
Hang on, I was just about to send out a really important email. But let me just, all days this month are winning.
Every day this month was a winner! Exclamation point.
Yes, we don't keep track of individual trades. I gotta get that on this computer so I can do it for you while you're...
Well, you can put it on your cell phone. See, I'm doing this on my cell phone right now. Huh?
I think you changed the password to it, because I have it on my cell phone, but I can't use it.
Oh, no. Well, if I change it, I'll tell you what it is. Where can I see the tards? Okay. Where can I see the tards? On?
Yeah.
Here, hang on. Let me just tell you. I'm going to say. On the home page, upper right-hand corner.
New visitor.
Gotta run right now in the middle of a radio show. Would love to chat with you later. Take care. Okay, so now this is where I sign out, and this is where I give my undivided attention to our radio audience. I can talk to this fellow later, because I'm sure he's got a lot of questions. Okay, Secretary Clinton has won the Democratic nominating process, and I congratulate her for that, Sanders said. I've come here today not to talk about the past, but to focus on the future. And he's talking about the part where he lost and she won. We've come to talk not about the past, but to focus on the future. The future will be shaped more by what happens on November 8th in voting booths across our nation than by any other event in the world. You know, he's got a point. That's true. I don't care what party you are. I have come here to make it as clear as possible as to why I am endorsing Hillary Clinton and why she must become our next president. The senator specifically touted Clinton's health care policy proposals, her plan to combat opioid addiction, her understanding of income and wealth disparity. That's about as funny as her in Central Park shooting up some opioids. How in the world will this woman ever understand the disparity between the rich and the poor? You know, she's never been a have-not. She always been a has. She's just had. And the more she got, the more she wanted. And the more she wanted, the more she got. So, now I don't know, maybe there's some, barefoot Arkansas tale about how they crawled out of poverty, but I've never heard it. So, anyway, Hillary Clinton knows the fact that she wants to do something to combat opioid addiction. Now I stand up and salute her on that. I think Donald Trump will do no less in that same arena. Do you know that man doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and he could smoke some of the finest Cubanas that are made. He could drink some of the finest brandy or whiskey. He doesn't. And it's not a religious thing. He just doesn't smoke or drink, and neither does his wife, nor do any of his children. So that just goes to show you can be rich without being a dope. True story. That really is quite fascinating about that family. Hillary Clinton knows that something is very wrong when the very rich become richer, while many others are working longer hours for lower wages. Yes. Okay. So, do we talk about the money she took from Brunei, where they sew up the women's private parts and do all kinds of other horrible mutilation? Do we talk about $750,000 that she took, wink wink, from Goldman Sachs for about a 15-minute after dinner speech? Does any of that count? She knows that it is absurd that middle-class Americans are paying an effective tax rate higher than hedge fund millionaires, and that there are corporations in this country making billions in profit while they pay no federal income taxes in a given year because of loopholes their lobbyists created. See, there comes a point when you rape and pillage so much, when you've amassed so much treasure, that you can actually afford to become righteous. Let's just not talk about our past. Let's delete the ugliest of the emails, and we don't have to do dirty no more, because we already got more than we can ever spend on all the days of our life. So we're set, okay? So now we can actually go out and hold our head up. Just don't let anybody go digging around in our past. Do you see what's happened here? Donald Trump built some corporations, had some failures. Some of the corporations had to go bankrupt. That's legal. It's legitimate in America. He actually worked and earned his money. She schemed and connived her way to her money. Now, that's just my personal opinion. You can choose to disagree with me. I do not want this woman to be the next president of the United States of America. I don't care what Bernie Sanders wants. I say no. In fact, many people are predicting an exit strategy from this country. They're going to live somewhere else. And they're taking their money with them. I'm not going to tell you how. That's a secret that we closely guard. We're not going to sit in a country where she's president. Good news for you is we can broadcast this radio show from anywhere in the world, so you don't have to sweat it. You're safe. Sanders also extensively laid into Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, slamming his inflammatory rhetoric about immigrants and minorities and citing the Superior Court justices that the next president would likely appoint. And now right there, okay, when they appoint those justices, once they're vetted for life. Or until somebody takes them out in the woods and slips them a little something, and they don't make it back from the hunting trip. But I'm just saying. So the effect that the choices they make, just think about, I don't know which president elected the justice that had the deciding vote in Roe v. Wade. But how many hundreds of millions of babies, what price was paid? Now, I'm not trying to make anyone who's ever had an abortion feel bad. God will forgive anything. So that's the great thing about the God we serve. If you come before Him with a broken and contrite spirit, and you really mean, He says, okay, I forgive you. Go and sin no more. In other words, don't do that again. But if you messed around and did it again, He's not weak. Please do not mistake His kindness for weakness. But He would forgive you again. That's the God I serve. I assume it's the God you serve. He added, while Donald Trump is busy insulting Mexicans, Muslims, women, African Americans, and veterans, Hillary Clinton understands that our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. Yes, we become stronger when black and white, Latino, Asian American, Native American, all of us stand together. Yes. Sounds like the Village People. We become stronger when men and women, young and old, gay and straight, native-born and immigrant fight to rid this country of all forms of bigotry. Speaking of the Village People, which I don't get much chance to speak about them, but one of the acts last week on America's Got Talent had to do with the Village People. And if you haven't seen it, and you've got it TiVoed or you've got it recorded somewhere, you've got to go see this. It's a one-man Village People act. Now, you go watch that YMCA, because now you can't get the song out of your head until you do go see it. And I'm sure you'll be able to find it on the internet without any problem if you don't have it recorded. It was genuinely funny. So, all right. Following Sanders' speech, Clinton praised the senator extensively, borrowing the senator's campaign slogan. Thank you for your lifetime of fighting injustice. I'm proud to be fighting beside you, Clinton said. Can't you see them in their little capes and tights and, arms outstretched as if they were, going to fly around and save the world? With your help, we are joining forces to defeat Trump, win in November, and yes, building a future we can all believe in. In recent days, Clinton-aligned Democrats have made major concessions to Sanders. Clinton released a revised higher education funding plan last week that would make state university funding tuition fees for millions of people from households making less than $125,000 annually. The Sanders campaign lauded the proposal. So, if your household makes less than $125,000 annually, now let's not talk about the fact, forget that 50% of Americans are on food stamps. I'm sorry, 40 some odd percent, not quite 50, are on food stamps. They're going to send millions of people from households. You know what? I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna look you straight in the eye, and I'm gonna tell you what. If you make 125 grand a year, you can afford to send your own kid to college. Okay? Doesn't have to come off the back of another taxpayer. Go get you some food stamps. Oh wait, you make too much. Oh, well, go get you some of that. Oh, you can't. You make too much. See, the people being penalized in this country are no longer the poor. It's those that actually have a job and get up and go to work every day. We're the ones that are getting penalized. The guy that won't work, we got to buy his food. The guy that won't get insurance, we got to pay for it. The list goes on. We already have to buy them monthly bus passes. How long before we have to actually buy them a vehicle? Today, Bernie Sanders will be endorsing one of the most pro-war, pro-Wall Street, and pro-offshoring candidates in the history of the Democratic Party. The candidate who ran against special interests is endorsing the candidate who embodies special interests, Trump's senior policy advisor, Stephen Miller, said. So who is this person that Bernie Sanders will be endorsing? He's pro-war, pro-Wall Street, pro-offshoring, and he was part of the Democratic Party. They've got me intrigued. In a statement on Tuesday, Trump's campaign slammed Sanders' endorsement of Clinton, characterizing the senator as an example of the rigged system. Oh, boy. November can't get here soon enough because we need to figure out how we're going to survive this. I mean, some stuff about to hit the fan, and I don't want to be standing in front of the fan. Now, just to give you an idea of how, this Wall Street is at its highest ever. Backed on what? On what? You see that little building right there? Traditional retail's having a tough go of it. Declining sales pressure from online sales, the fickle tastes of young people have all pressured the old guard of shopping. On Tuesday, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch had some more bad news for the mall stalwarts. No one wants to buy goods anymore. Using the aggregated data of those with Bank of America debit cards and credit cards, U.S. economist Michelle Meyer identified a growing trend in customer spending habits. Instead of purchasing goods, more and more Americans are putting their income toward experiences. We show an assortment of categories in the chart of the month and observe the following themes: softness in housing-related items, a continued shift away from department store and teen and young adult clothing, strength in sporting goods, and an increase in spending on travel and restaurants. People are starting to realize that stuff don't make you happy. I'll tell you what made me happy. And I think there's probably not a day that I don't think about the time my wife and I spent in Paris. Many of you in this audience remember that. We were only gone, I think, I think it was 10 days. And we stayed in this tiny little cramped hotel. I ordered the deluxe suite. And when the guy opened the door to this little broom closet, I said, "No, sir, you have me confused with someone else. I'm Mr. Reeves. I ordered the deluxe accommodations." And he's like, "Yeah, this is it." I mean, you had to physically climb across the bed to get to the other side of the bed. It had a bed, it had a TV, and it had a toilet. And this was at, I don't know, like a Holiday Inn or something. And let me tell you something, this thing was not cheap. But, hey, we spent most of our time out in the countryside, seeing things, experiencing things. And so that's what they're saying in this report, is that people are starting to realize that they can't take their stuff with them. So they're starting to now spend more and more of their income, disposable or not, on experiencing things. My experience that my wife and I took a few years ago, and I know most of you remember this, to Machu Picchu. We went to Peru. We went to, whatchamacallit, right next door to Peru. That place I'm always talking about. Anyway, that was an experience, climbing with those llamas up on Machu Picchu and standing there in the brisk morning air, looking out across the Andes Mountains and realizing that these big stones and these buildings and that stuff didn't just levitate up there. Now, in this day and time, it would have required some kind of heavy-duty construction equipment, rigging equipment, cranes, to lift all this stuff into place. How did these simple Native American people, how did they do this? No, it's a serious question. How do they do that? I'm going to show you a picture. Some of you may know, you're like, Machu Picchu, what the heck is that? I'm just going to show you one picture, and then I'm going to let Michael take over. And that was a major turning point in my life, because I went there to decide if I was going to continue CFRN or go get a real job. And when I came back, I said, "Michael, I want to do this like I've never wanted to do anything." I didn't shave my head. I didn't eat out of a wooden bowl. But God did speak to me, and He says, "I've got you right where I want you, and you're going to do great things for me." And I said, I believe you. I was here. I stood here. We had to take a bus first you got to take a train to get in there. There's no cars allowed. And then once you get to the little town at the bottom of the hill, there's a couple little humble hotel rooms and restaurants, but no vehicles. And then the next morning, there's the one tour bus, and you take the tour bus up to the bottom of this hill, and then you walk up this puppy, and then you get to go out and you get to wander around these ruins. And don't get lost when you visit the lost city of the Incas. Here's the tip sheet on how to best travel Machu Picchu. You should save up your money. You should figure out some way to figure out how you can stop buying stuff and use your money to go places and see things and do stuff. I know we've got the here and after, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to have glorified bodies, and, you know. But I'm just saying, why are you here? Man, get on with it.
Cointreau.
I don't want to watch a commercial, but I guess there's no way around it. Okay, so we're going to skip this. Google it up, Machu Picchu. Look at these pictures. Look at that eco. Look at that. I stood there. I touched these guys. It was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And that whole trip, round turn, set us back about $5,000. Okay? Airfare. We went through, I'm trying to remember, we flew out of Miami, and it was a long, grueling, painful flight. Oh, I see. You can do that and wiggle your way. Now look. Why you do that? Look at these walls. Look at the precision which these stones. Now, this is old. This is pre-Egypt old, if I'm not mistaken. It's at least as old. And it was all built around astronomy, not astrology, but astronomy. Like they had all these different rooms where they knew that on a certain day, at a certain time, a shaft of light would, boom, fall right into that spot. Now, what they did with that, we don't really know. But this place is really there, because I've really been there. And I've been to Ireland. I've stood in the, whatchamacallit, what do they call that place in Ireland, Michael? Stonehenge.
The Guinness Factory.
What'd you call it?
The Guinness Factory. Stonehenge is in Ireland. It's in England.
England? Okay, I've been there too. Really? Why did I think it was in Ireland? Probably too much Guinness stout. I don't know. But we were in England and Ireland, and we've been to Amsterdam. We've experienced, we've tasted life, and it tastes good. The stuff you buy when you leave, you have never seen a U-Haul following a hearse. It doesn't happen, okay? Somebody else is going to end up with your stuff when you're gone. So why not just live life to its fullest right now, while you can? Because the world's going to hell in a handcart, and I just explained to you why. Between Hillary and Bernie, will we even be able to recognize this nation 4 years, 8 years out? Will America be considered a socialist nation? I don't know, man. I'm a little concerned. If it was just me and my wife, you know, let's face it, I hate to say it, we don't have that much longer left on this planet. We put it this way, we're in the third quarter of the game, okay? So, but my kids, they're barely into the first quarter yet. I don't even know if coaches let them off the bench. They got their whole life ahead of them, and I got a plan for them. So, and I hope you're thinking the same thing about your kids or your grandkids. But think about yourself too, okay? Don't cheat yourself. God put you on this earth for a purpose. He didn't bless you just so you could be blessed. He blessed you so that you could be a blessing to others. But that doesn't mean you can't go to Paris. That doesn't mean you can't go to Amsterdam and visit those funny little coffee houses they have. It doesn't mean you can't go to Machu Picchu and pet a llama. It doesn't. Michael, take it away.
Okie doke.
Please. I beseech you, my brother.
There we go. I got it.
Rocket. All right, I'm going to hit pause.
All right.
Or not pause,
Okay.
but mute. And I'll get out of your hair for
Okay.
long enough. How long is this going to take?
10 minutes.
All right, you got it.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 12th day of July, 2016. Well, let's start with this. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You absolutely must click on that confirmation link, okay? If you don't click the link, you don't get the free trial. It's as simple as that, all right? You have to remember to click that link.
Wow.
I am just
I
tinked.
sounded like my
All right.
old self.
So that's that.
Dot.
No. In the live trading room today, we lost 7 ticks on soybeans. We made 7 on the euro. We made 1 on the YM. We made 18 on crude. And we made 27 on gold. Today, it took 8 minutes and 1 trade to get to $110 a contract, and we took a total of 21 trades. On the month, we are now up $1,952.50. That's over 7 trading days, averaging $278 per day. If you were to apply an $8 commission to every trade we've taken, you'd have a net profit of $9.68, and with a $5 commission, you'd have a net profit of $13.37. Yeah. Now, these numbers that I gave you here, the -7 on beans, +7 on the euro, +1 on the YM, +18 on crude, +27 on gold, it adds up to about $411. Okay. I got a call a little while ago, about 20 minutes ago now, from a woman, and she was asking. Well, she was asking how do you identify, when to stop on the day if you're having a down day. When do you pull the plug? And we recommend a few different ways. One is you could have a time limit. Just trade until time is up, and at that point, end your day. Another is number of trades. You could have a maximum of 10 trades. If you don't reach your goal in those 10 trades, just end your day. Another is, let's say your average daily gain. Like my average daily gain so far this month is $278, and so far this year is $254. Maybe double your average daily gain. The reason I even bring this up is because, we ended with plus $411 per contract, but we were down actually at, with 40 minutes left to go, we were down a little bit. We were -17 on the euro. We were -17 on the euro, -7 on soybeans. And like +9 on gold, +1 on the YM, +1 on crude, something like that. Anyway, the way it turned out, those last 40 minutes, I turned it from being a little bit negative to really, really well positive. The reason I say that is because I just keep trading. That's what I do. I have an edge, and I keep trading. And I have 2 hours a day. So mine is a time limit. All right, so on the year, now we're up $32,831. That's over 129 trading days, averaging $254 per day. $254 per day. Okay, that's where we stand. Now, let's do gold first. Gold had a long trade right here off the BBC. A short trade there. And let's just go over here like this. Okay. On gold here, this was our first trade of the day. What year? This year. On gold, this was our first trade of the day, and we made 11 ticks profit on that one. We missed the follow-up trade. Over here, I think we got 1 more tick, putting us at +12. Missed a couple of trades in here, and right there, got 5 more, putting us at +17. And I stopped out, putting us back down to +9. And I got 5 right there, putting us at +14. Then I got 13 there, putting us at +27. And then I had pointed out one more trade here as I was doing the spreadsheet. I said 40.6 is a good spot to short, and that gave another 20 ticks right there. I had drawn this trend line I'll go over this in the meeting that I'm going to host here. Now it's just about 20 minutes. For the trial members, I'll go over all this leg length stuff then. Okay. On the ES, I don't think I picked out. Oh, I guess I did. A trade there, a trade there, a trade there, and a trade there. I didn't think I had picked out any trades on the ES, but I guess I did. Now, I don't have an ES DOM open, so I didn't actually take any trades. Okay. On the YM, we had a couple of trades, one here, plus one tick, and one break even right there. I pointed out a couple more trades that I missed in here. But that was it for the YM. Okay. I'm going to put that back over here now. What is the meeting? Is for trial members, and yes, you can go to. I'll give you a link. Hold on a second. SK. What I go over in the meeting that I'm going to be doing here at 1:15 Eastern Time, what I go over is other trade setups, not the ones that I do in the live trading room. Okay. Here, I'll paste that link in here for you. Okay, there you go. Okay. All right, now crude oil. Look at crude just going up and up and up and up. Anyway, on crude today, we had a break-even trade there, I believe. Break-even trade there, +2 there. +2 there, bring us to +4. And then missed a trade there, 14 on that one, bring us up to 18. Okay, there was another trade within there. I got in this trade, and then I showed everybody the trade setups, and I forgot I was in it. But during the break, let's see. There's a trade setting up now, but you got to watch out for the dynamic support right beneath us. Anyway, we ended with a +18 on crude, +18. Soybeans, scroll back there. Wow, we had some decent movement on the soybeans. All right. Oh, I didn't put in. There's a trade that's missing here on soybeans. I stopped out. I got one tick profit on this one, and I don't know where it was, but I stopped out somewhere on soybeans. And I don't know where it was, but there was one other trade that I took on soybeans, and I stopped out. Let me see. I was +1 there. And I think it was right here. This bounce off the BBC right there. See, because the cycle was red on the down close, the cycle was red and below the green line, and that stopped me up. During the break, though, there was some nice movement on the soybeans. Right there was really nice. Right in there, but it didn't put in a higher swing, and then you change directions. Look at that move down. But we would have had there and there. And then change directions again. And it would have been a long trade there. And a long trade there. Change directions again. Would have been a short trade there. Then we would have needed a lower swing. So we had to wait till there. Wow. Did we have the WASDE report? We had a crop production report come out. Okay. Anyway, on soybeans today, we were -7. Okay, on the euro, the euro was kicking my butt this morning. I lost 4 on this one. I should have been out at break even when I had some profit in it. But I ended up losing 4 ticks. Then I got into this one and I stopped out. That put me at -12. Got a little bit back here, put me at -9. Stopped out again, put me at -17. Then I got 4 ticks back right here, put me at -13. I got 20 ticks profit on this one right here, put me at +7. And that is where I ended the day with the euro. During the break, there was a long trade here, and here, and here, and there. And that was it on the euro. Okay. And that's where we ended on the day. Okay, so we were -7 on the soybeans, +7 on the euro, +1 on the YM, +18 on crude, and +27 on gold. Today it took us 8 minutes and 1 trade to get to our goal for the day, and at that point we were up $110 a contract, and we took a total of 21 trades today. On the month, we're now up 1952.50 over 7 trading days, averaging 278 per day. On the year, we're up 32,831. That's over 129 trading days, averaging 254 per day. Okay. And now we'll go back here. If you have not, thank you, John. If you have not taken a free trial with us, just go to CFRN.net in the right-hand column where it says name, put in your name, where it says email, put in your email. Click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? And with that, I will shut off the recording, and we can head back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. And I did it in 11 minutes. Phoenix, are you out there?
We're always out there somewhere.
Somewhere. We're all there.
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, for all you Shark Tank fans, has launched 17 of his own ETFs. He's calling them the O'Shares. FTSE Russell, U.S. High Quality. He's got high value. He's got high dividend, growth dividend, quality, micro cap. Oh, the list goes on. He's bound and determined to become as wealthy as Mark Cuban. I don't think it's going to happen. When you get that unfair of a head start, there's just not much. It's hard to play catch up when you're that far behind. So, anyway, while you're mad typing, let me grab the screen share.
Okay. Yeah, I got that meeting in 15 minutes, too.
Okay. Well, y'all have a real fine time.
I hope to.
Let them know I sent the refreshments.
Okay.
Huh? Something's... Hey, can you do this? Because something's a little wacky bit over here. Could you switch it to... Did I just close the whole thing?
No, it looks like you took the charts, but you haven't picked which one you want to put it on yet.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want the one with the pretty face.
Returning visitor.
There we go. Alright. Now, all is right with the world. I don't know
Okay.
if all is right with the world, but my part's right. I'm good where I stand. Okay.
There you go.
Now
There you go.
I'm going to show you a little oddity that you won't have a solution for. You won't. You'll go like, what do you want me to do about it? Nothing. Nothing. Last night we sent out the alerts later than I like to send them. We sent them at 11 p.m., which would be 2,300 hours. And so what one does is one takes one's vertical tool and he drops it. Boom. From the bottom to the top, right? And then you realize, but wait, that's not 2,300, is it? It's 22. And so you grab it and you drag it to the right. Well, maybe I need to grab the little knot hole and drag it to the right. That puppy won't move. So, I have to do this.
I wonder if mine will.
Mine always did before.
Mine does.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to reboot and see if it'll come back together. It's been working so well the last few days. I hesitate to reboot because it's like opening Pandora's box. Every time you upgrade or reboot or Reboot usually will clean house real good if you've told it not to automatically install those nefarious updates that they always want you to put in.
Yes.
Those things can be just brutal. Now, last night was Monday night, the 11th. I know that because today is the 12th.
Today's Tuesday, the 12th.
Sometimes I overwhelm myself with my powers of deduction. Now, on the S&P 500 Emini Futures, it said, Ted, buy 2134. And so Ted came over here. I was just thinking about an old friend. That's why I said Ted. But anyway. Turns out he wasn't a friend after all. But anyway, 2134. That's all we read. No. 34, where you at? 2134. Come on down. How you doing? 2134. Oh, that can't be right. It's crooked. $33, $34. Where you at? Oh, I had it. I had it. 2134. Why won't you lock on? Goodness. I'm just going to leave you there at 34. All right. So the Concierge Trade Alert that I sent out to you guys last night at 11 p.m. Eastern, which is highlighted by my lovely assistant here, the vertical line. Okay. So we're going to write down by 2137. Just like that. By 2137. Alright. Now we put in a swing high. Now this one here, this might have caught you. You might have got it whacked out here. This was 2145. And so that would be 8 points. 8 S&P 500 Emini points. That's if you nailed it right at the top. But nobody can ever do that because we trail our stop. If we're not just getting started and trading to a hard target to, gain our confidence and all of that, if we've broken out of that mold and we've gone into the trail or stop mold, then you're not going to get 8. It's going to start to come back on you. Now this one, depending on how far you were trailing, let me show you. If you throw the official CFRN trail locator up here, okay, see this green line, BBC, what'd it do? Boink, kept you safe. You're still in the trade, muchacha. But anyway, aside from all that, that was 8, and then we went up to 2149. So from 49 to 37, that would be 12 points. So, may I ask you, dear sir, did you make 12 points in the S&P today? Well, if you didn't, that's okay, because none of our people did either, because, well, actually, they would, because they're still, some of them are still in the trade. So I usually say that every day just to be funny, but it's not so funny today because they're still in the trade. Anyway, they would be preparing to depart the trade. Now, 12 points times $50 a point, that's $600 per contract. That's not bad. Okay, it's a pretty good trade. Worked out well. So, the S&P, I always like to set the stage with the S&P, kind of get your juices flowing so that you'll want to know what else happened out there last night. I'm going to show you every single thing. But first, a word from our sponsor, God. That's right. He sponsors this show each and every day. And we are happy to have him with us. And we are going to quote from a book he wrote long ago. And we will entertain you for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Romans 13:14. Don't let yourself think about ways to indulge your evil desires. In other words, stay out of the bookstores and the peep shows, and I don't know if they even have those anymore, but if they do, get out. All right? Because no matter what your carnal desire tells you, tests you, tempts you when you're out on your lunch hour and there's nobody around that knows you, you're in a part of town, where nobody knows you, certainly nobody you go to church with would be way the heck out here in Timbuktu, and there's a strip club across the way and they have a free buffet, and I don't know, you gotta eat lunch somewhere, right? Wrong. Okay? Wrong. Don't let yourself think about ways to indulge your evil desires. Romans 13:14. You see, all the enemy needs is just the tiniest foothold into your life. Pretty soon he'll have that thing turned inside out. He will own you. All right? I mean it. If you're serious about living a victorious Christian life, you've got to do 3 things. Number 1, you got to burn every bridge to your old lifestyle. I know it's hard to blow. It's hard to throw out the bong, but you got to do it. Well, throw it out. It's a tie to an old lifestyle, an old way of thinking. It had its place and its time. And I'm not, we're half the world's on medical marijuana now. And in the other half of the world, it's legal. So I'm not going to spend too much time harping on your old glass bong up there on the shelf. Throw it out. I don't care. What's important is that you cut your tie to that lifestyle. In fact, I would go so far as to say is if you could smoke a little herb every night without having to take the 4 Xanax that the doctor prescribed to you, you'd probably be in better shape. There are some cancer cures that are coming out using tetrahydrocannabinol with one of the nebanols or something removed. You don't get stoned, but people get better. So it's always been claimed a miracle plant, the hemp plant. The fibers are some of the strongest known to man. It's great for making clothes, even shoes. It really is a miracle type. And so I don't know who the first guy was that figured out you could smoke it. But let's get back on point here. We're going to burn. I'm sitting here romanticizing the bong, and I'm trying to get you to throw it out. Burn the bridge. Refuse to give Satan an invitation or re-entry point into your life. Don't leave the back door open. And when he knocks at the front door, dressed up like, one of those ladies that come to your door every week, when he comes dressed up like her, don't invite her in for tea, because it won't lead to a good place, all right? Any bridge that you refuse to burn gives Satan an invitation and a re-entry point into your life. The new believers at Ephesus, you've all heard about New Age, right? There ain't nothing new about New Age. It's been around since the beginning. The new believers at Ephesus did something radical. They brought out all their books on witchcraft and pornography. You're going like, well, wait a minute. 2,000, 3,000 years ago, they had pornography? Mm-hmm. They did. It wasn't as portable and as accessible as it is today with your iPhone, but since Adam and Eve left the garden, there's been pornography. Okay? So they burned them all in public. They weren't namby-pamby or willy-nilly. They were committed. They lived by these words. Don't let yourself think about ways to indulge your evil desires. I know what you're thinking. Does that mean my 1960s? I've got the entire 1960s Playboy collection. Don't you let that go? You know what? I'll leave that for you to wrestle out. I mean, let's not make this something that it isn't. I want you to understand it for what it is, okay? When's the last time you looked at that stack? You sit around slobbering on it? I doubt it. It's probably got more dust than the underside of your bed. So just do what you need to do, okay? You be your own judge. How about that? They were committed as they burned these books. They lived by the words, don't let yourself think about ways to indulge your evil desires. Number 2, establish prayer as a top priority. Prayer puts a shield of divine protection around you. Don't start your day without it. Jesus said, keep watch and pray so that you will not give in to temptation. Matthew 26:41. You see, in an army encampment in Afghanistan, they leave a watch up all night. But then the first guy that wakes up in the morning, it's his turn. What's the first thing he does? He takes those binoculars or those high-powered whatever they got, and they scan the horizon. Every hill, every bluff. Okay? That is their shield of protection. Or so they assume, and to a degree it really is knowing that the enemy is not within striking distance. Okay, this is important. Now, prayer. Scripture tells us, Matthew 26:41, prayer puts a shield of divine protection around you. Don't start your day without it. Imagine, as you leave your bedroom, you encounter the enemy about halfway down the hallway because he's trying to put some stupid thought in your head, and you're already shrouded in prayer. Where's my hammer pants? Can't touch that, right? I'm going to get me some hammer pants. I'll send you a picture. See, once you're covered in prayer, he can't touch that. Wouldn't you like to live a life where he couldn't touch that? Wouldn't that be an incredible feeling of power to know that you were appointed, anointed? And that as long as you're covered in prayer, you will not fall for any temptation that he throws your way. Unless you acknowledge your vulnerability for sin, you won't pray against it. And you'll end up experiencing defeat. Oh, I don't need to pray about that. I can take care of that. Be careful, okay? The most effective weapon the enemy has against you is Guess. Guess. The most effective weapon the enemy has against you. Alcohol? Drugs? Pornography? Prostitution? Gossip? Come on. It's a three-letter word. I'll give you a hint. The most powerful weapon the enemy possesses is you. Y-O-U. Your old nature must be crucified daily, and prayer is how you do it. Fill your mind. This is number 3. Fill your mind with God's Word. Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone. And we all know we need bread of some kind or another. A little water would be nice too. Helps it to go down. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. 3 different times in the wilderness, Satan tried to get Jesus to submit to temptation, and each time Jesus responded, "It is written." Matthew 4, 7, and 10, King James Version. After the 3rd attempt, Satan gave up and left him alone. Why? Because he can't prevail against you when you know God's Word and you stand on God's Word. So in case you haven't figured out, in this Battle of the Titans, if you've skipped over to the end of the book, we already know who wins. Okay? Now, if the enemy knows that you and your family are covered and surrounded in prayer on a daily basis, he's going to stop knocking at your door. Now, that doesn't mean he's never going to come back again. Oh no. He's going to find you at a weak moment. Somebody got in an accident, somebody got sick, somebody got a bad grade, I don't know, whatever bad thing can happen. That's when he's going to show up. Knock, knock, knock. And interesting the disguises he can come up with. Were we not spiritually minded, were we not given insight by the power of the Holy Spirit, oftentimes he would come knock, knock, knock at our door, and we'd just say, "Hey, bro, come on in." We would not recognize him for who he really is. You cannot prevail against the enemy alone, by yourself. That's why Jesus responded the way he did. It is written. It's a done deal. It's carved in stone. You might as well leave me alone, because I already know how this turns out. It is written. You start talking to him like that, he might chop my head off. He doesn't have that power. He might run the other direction. Now, some people will go, "Well, wait a minute. Hang on now. Christians are being martyred all over the world. What about them?" Okay? Now we're into a whole different branch of theology and understanding. Okay? God chose you to be born wherever you're born. And I know that right now we're reaching people in Africa and Mogadishu and all kinds of places. So to those of you that were born in America, I'm speaking to you specifically at this moment. You were chosen for whatever reason. I don't know why I was chosen to be born here, but I was. I was chosen to be born here, in this place and in this time. And so here I am, and I will respond accordingly. Just remember, every day when you wake up, cover your family, cover your prayer, cover your home, cover your business in prayer. Stand on God's word. Have your "it is written" armor ready 24/7. Your go bag. Have it packed. Build yourself up on the Word of God, not when the attack comes, but you build yourself up on the Word of God before the attack comes. Because, brother, I hate to tell you, it's coming. And that's not a doomsday prophecy. That's just a fact of life. How do I know? Because it is written. And that's our good word for the day. And while I was all caught up in that, my phone was going berserk. I wonder if it was... You know what? I'm going to sneak up on him. Shh. Be really quiet.
Dwayne?
Hey, I snuck up on you. You want to come on the show today?
Yeah, I can come
I mean, it's a historic day. I mean, last night in after hours trading, I got a spontaneous nosebleed. I've never had one in my life before. I was like an oil gusher in Texas. When it hit the top, boom, my head exploded. So, I don't know. You're live right now, but I'd rather have you call in or log in or something. If you want to, if you got time, it's up to you.
You know what? Give me just a few minutes and I'll log in.
All right, buddy.
So I can have...
Yeah, take your time, get your charts together. I got stuff to occupy the guys with till you show up. But now, when you show up, don't just sit there, you know, all frustrated because I didn't notice you. You can make my phone ring 1 or 2 times, and I'll go, oh, Garrett's here. And boom, I'll be right there. All right?
Yeah, give me about 10 minutes. I'll put a couple of charts together.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.
Oh, thanks, Dwayne.
All right.
Bye.
Sometimes you have not because you ask not. And he already told me half the time I don't read my text messages, so there we go. All right. Let's get out of the gate. We already did the S&P. That was a great place to start. Okay?
Returning visitor.
They don't call it the bellwether for nothing. Actually, I don't call it the bellwether. My first guru did, but I didn't. Okay, by 2137, we already ascertained Thank you, David. God bless you, brother. I meant 2134, not 2137 last night. Did I? Oh, gosh. Maybe I'm too old for this job. Let me go find my notepad. Come on, come on. Concierge Trade Alerts. 2134. Thank you so much. You're a very kind man. You really do help me, because I really think I banged my head pretty hard the other day. Harder than I thought. I taught her. She yells up, "You okay?" I came downstairs. I said, did you hear me? And she goes, yeah. I yelled up, are you okay? I said, and? She goes, when you didn't say nothing, I figured you were. I go, well, what's the other option? She goes, oh, I didn't think about that. Someday when we have more time, she's 8. She's in the advanced thing at school, blah, blah, bride, dad. And when we were driving in traffic yesterday, she explained to me that this system she had designed in her head where there would no longer be traffic jams, that traffic would flow smoothly, just kind of like the Jetsons. It would be sensor based, it would be buried in the concrete, it would wait. Now my wife grilled her last night when I was bragging on her at dinner. My wife goes, you heard that somewhere, you saw that somewhere. Now she swears she made it up, so I'm just going to believe her because she's the love of my life, aside from my wife. So anyway, if some of you already heard it somewhere else, don't you mess with me. All right, just let me live. I don't got that many years left. Let me live. David says, sorry, Dwayne. I had the same idea when I was 8. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So from 2134 to 45. Oh, we're going to have to do this whole calculator thing again today. Gosh. And I wish my good calculator, the one that always works, gives me no problems. Dadgummit. Swing high, 2149. 2149 minus 2134. We're going to do a lot of rounding today. So we got 15. Okay. Thank you very much for correcting me on that. And we're just gonna toss this for now. We know that from our entry point at 2134, so far the market has traveled 15 points, and that if we had inserted our CFRN indicator set, we potentially, if we wanted to be, could still be in the trade. And it doesn't look like it's done. So let's move on. Get as many of these done as we can in the time allotted. Garrett will be here shortly. I'll keep an eye out for him. All right. So last night it was 2,300 hours. Oh, so close. I'll leave it there. It doesn't matter. Because on the Dow we said to buy. Oh, that's the one I had to go and correct. Let me show you the correction. All right. Thanks to all of you who sent in emails and told me about the horrific mistake I had made, and I appreciate it because I was able to correct it. And I mean, everybody that looked at the numbers and would have said, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's out of whack." But it's so nice. It's always nice to have somebody watching your back, but it's really nice to have a whole bunch of people watching your back. 1810. I jumbled one of the numbers on the YM. You should be able to spot it in a minute. 18180. Okay. Plus, it makes me feel good to know that people are paying attention. So, 18180. Here we go. Rocket. 18180. Okay. Buy 18180. If the lines aren't perfectly straight today. I'm gonna let it ride. Okay. Now this swing high was I really am having a hard time. I'm gonna have to go have my vision checked, I guess, which doesn't excite me at all. 266 minus 180 equals 86. Okay. I asked for 2 hours of peace and quiet a day. Can I get it? Nope. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. All right. 86 points. Now that's up to this little tippy top here. I'm thinking that most anyone trailing a tight stop would get taken out on this pullback. Okay. Now you only need 20 points. This is the Dow, pays $5 a point. 20 times 5 is $100. This went 86 points. Went from 181 from 18180 up to 266. From 180 to 266. That's 86. All the way up at the top, what do we got? We got 278. Is that what it amounts to? Yeah, 278. So it's really not that much higher. And I don't think most people would still be in the trade at that point. Now, yeah, it's 98. So take your pick. But I'm just telling you that this is the most likely, for you to, maybe you did sleep through that and woke up to this. I don't know. If you did, that's outstanding. I'm very glad for you. Let's go to our indicators and let's take a little peek. Now, remember, when you're trailing the BBC, you're trailing behind the BBC. You're not touching it, because otherwise these little needle pricks like this will take you out. And then boom. All that was a pullback. Leg, retrace. Actually, you had a leg and just this little shelf action. Another leg. And when you get a flat shelf and a leg, expect an immediate retracement. Okay? And then there it goes to put in the rest of the leg. Okay? So that was the Dow last night. Not too shabby. Worked out well. Let's go to gold. How the mighty has fallen. It's terrible. All right, let's go to 2,300. I nailed it. I got it. All right. So on gold, we wanted to be, based upon the formation of the market at the time, we wanted to be sellers at 1351. Okay. Now get out your coin purse, because this is going to have a big payday. 1351. 1351. 1351. $13.51. Oh, ho, ho. I said I wasn't going to fret over it. All right. So sell $13.51. Not a bad idea. And we drop all the way down so far, because we don't look like we're done yet. We drop to a low of 31. All right? 31. So 51 to 31. Let me get my calculator. Just kidding. So it's 20 so far. Now, 20 what? 20 points. How much does each point pay in gold? $10 per point. So when price went from 1351 to 1341, which is right here, that was $1,000 per contract. Now, when it comes to gold, you can trade an awful lot of contracts if you want to. Now, if you're on the wrong side of the trade, you don't exercise a proper stop, it could cost you as much as it can make you, all right? And sometimes quicker, it seems. So that's why we always use a hard stop. And then when we get down to 1331, which is basically where we're at right now, that's $2,000 per contract. Now, I sent you this email last night, or some of you, not all of you are part of that, but anyway, we almost always see important prices in important areas being tested. So this first little prick through here, what are we thinking? This could be a test. I didn't look at it. Smooth as a glass. Okay. So $15 points times 5, that'd be $750 per contract. That's the maximum amount available from that trade that I gave you. 90 points is the maximum available from that trade, so that's well, it's 98, so if it was 100 points, it'd be $500 per contract. That's the potential. Now, again, these are contracts that only cost you $500 each to put on. Okay? All right. Gold, $2,000 per contract. So we went 750, and then we went 500, and we went 2,000. Now let's look at bonds. Ooh-wee. Get out your calculator or your abacus. All right, 2,300. Can you do it? That's the new game in town, to see if I can drop it, because once I drop it, I can't move it. So $2,300 on bonds. ZBU6. In the email I sent you, I said, if given the opportunity, I want you to sell 175. Okay? Now, some people are superstitious about round numbers, and I don't know that it's necessarily superstition, but yeah, I just don't put a lot of energy in that. I'm not saying there isn't anything at all to it, and I don't mean superstitious. I just simply mean the fact that it's a big round number, and so maybe people think twice before they break through it or whatever they do. Oh, I forgot. I gotta do this. Oh, perfect. 175. Okay, sell 175. Now, you know what's coming next, right? How far do we have to go to make $1,000 per contract? If you sell 175, at 174, almost got it. Oh no, it's way up here. What am I thinking? 174.03. Huh. $174.01. So 174. So 175. You want now? See, here is right. Okay, we come right up against. Now here we slice through 175 like it's not there. Big round number. Now we get to 174, big round number. We approach it, back off, approach it, come back and test it, and then we drop. So see, there was no hinky dinky with the 175 here, but the 174, yeah. So that's our $1,000 per contract per day. Now the market's not done, but we have a old saying around here. It's becoming old, I feel. And there we go. All right. From 175 to 174, there's 32 ticks to a point. Each point pays $31.25 per tick. If you multiply $31.25 times 32, it comes out to 1,000. Now, the rule of thumb says anytime you make $1,000 per contract, any day on any instrument, take the money and go. Now, that applies to whether you're trading one contract or you're trading 100 contracts. Because as you see, yesterday we also did $1,000 per contract on bonds. Bonds is probably the most common $1,000 per contract instrument we have, with crude oil being a real close second. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're out there trading. Okay? Now, if we were to get all the way down to 173, which is only 7 ticks away, that's going to make $2,000 per contract. All right? But if you're following the 24/20 blueprint, remember the goals: just make $100 a day, put the mouse away, build your account up to $2,000, add a second contract, stay with 2 contracts until the calendar, give you a little calendar and it says add your 3rd contract. So you're always adding contracts with profits you earned in the market. I cannot even begin to tell you how powerful this concept is. I do think it was Einstein. I really should look it up since I keep quoting him as saying it. That compounding is the most powerful force in the universe. And I probably even got the quote wrong, okay? But I'm pretty sure I got it right. Compounding is the most powerful force in the universe. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. You put enough money in to get your account open. You're trading one contract. Let's say it's the Russell. Costs $500. Okay. You're going to make $100 a day and put the mouse away. Because, and you have 10 trades each day to make the $100. And so given 10 trades, it's not easy, because nothing about trading is easy, but it can be simple to make $100 out of 10 trades. Now, once you've increased your account balance by $2,000, you've earned $2,000. Now you get to add a second contract. And you say, but wait, a second contract only costs $500. I have enough to add 4 contracts. See, that's how most traders think. And that's why there's a 90% line and a 10% line. What we're doing is we're getting you to a point where you're no longer undercapitalized. In fact, you're trading below your level of capitalization. I know it sounds boring, and I never promised you an adrenaline rush. But think about this. You're going to make $2,000, and then you're going to take $500 of that $2,000 you made and add a second contract. And then I'll just let you know, in 5 weeks, which will be another $2,000, you're going to add a 3rd contract. You're going to go like, wait a minute, I'm amassing all this money, but you're only letting me add a contract at a time. On the 3rd contract, it's when you call your broker and you explain to him your plan that you're on, and he needs to start cutting you a check every Friday. He needs to know where you're at and where you're headed. And everything that you have in your account in excess of what you need to trade the level you're at right now, he needs to cut you a check. He can do an electronic transfer, ACH, write an old-fashioned check. There's all kinds of ways to do it. Now, it's not about the money.
New visitor.
Gotcha. I'm going to bring you on right now. Okay. That worked out spectacular. So, let me... Now, remind me where I'm at. I'm going to pick up, because this is really important stuff. You need to know this. This will keep you in this business for as long as you want to be in the business, which I assume is a long time. Garrett, where are you? It's a good thing they make this stuff alphabetical. There he is, the man of the hour, Mr. Garrett Jones. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm good. On this historic day in history, this historic day in history, I'm serious. Last night, this has never happened. Now, Mike, my business partner, he said as a kid he used to get spontaneous nosebleeds all the time. Have you ever had one?
Have I ever had one?
Uh-huh.
I have. Oh, sure.
You see, I never, ever had until last night. I'm sitting here at my desk working, doing the Concierge Trade Alerts, and I don't know if the night session was open, or if they were doing overnight trading or after hours trading. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that, you know, when we hit the high water mark, my nose explodes. So, anyway, enough about that. How you doing?
Good. I got a few charts for you, and I'm probably hurting on time today just because it's one of those days. But I did find a couple of charts that I thought were kind of fun.
Well, it's all yours, pal.
One of the things that I found interesting is that in general, fund managers, professionals, people like that, when stocks get a little bit too rare, there's a tendency to move into bonds. And, you know, when things aren't going right in stocks, you know, you move into bonds. When bonds, you know, kind of max out, you move back into stocks. That's just been kind of a historical thing in the stock market.
Sure.
Pretty much forever. You know, you get rid of the bull market. Looks like it's run the course. Well, it's time to get in bonds. That's been in the minds of investors for almost as long as they've invested. I found it interesting.
At the 10-year note auction today, there was very weak demand, $20 billion. U.S.
Well,
10-year notes.
It's interesting because one of the things that I found very interesting about this is that going back a week or so, when there was a massive amount of new 52-week highs, I think there was almost 396 new highs, I believe was the number. I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting, and I don't know why people would be buying up here at this level as we're pushing against new all-time highs. So I went in and I looked. I thought, gee, I wonder what they're buying. So I went in and I looked, and I was just amazed to see what I saw. What I saw was bond funds, convertible bond funds, preferred stocks, utilities, everything that was interest rate associated. So instead of going into common stocks for this wild bull market to let's get a piece of America, that wasn't what was going on at all. And the other things were REITs and gold stocks. It was 100%. Well, I shouldn't say 100%. It was overwhelmingly defensive, which you would expect with new highs and so forth, that it would be offensive. So it was exactly the opposite. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting thing. You know, and then as we pushed higher, that's been the case. Now, this chart, you know, your audience is probably looking at this chart going, what the heck does that have to what the heck does that have to do with anything? Well, I'll tell you what, it does. This is one of the great charts of all time, I think, because this is the entire history of the country. I mean, here's 1800 back here. This is a chart of risk-free yield in America throughout its history. Risk-free yield is basically, you know, using U.S. Treasury yields, but if you're talking about risk-free, you're talking about T-bills. T-bonds certainly are not risk-free. T-bonds are a roller coaster.
Right.
But this is T-bills, and they're a roller coaster too, aren't they? I mean, if you take a look at a 200-year picture there.
Chart, yeah.
But when you look at any chart, if you really want to find what's going on, what do? You look at the extremes, right? I mean, you know, for me, generally when I look at a chart, I don't care if it's a 5-minute chart or a 500-year chart. I'm looking at the extremes first, just to kind of get to figure out where I am on the map. And I go, well, here's an extreme. Here's the extreme of this chart is right here. No question about that, right? Where's the other extreme? Well, it's right here. Well, ironically, isn't it interesting that we've got a 200-plus year chart, 216 years to be exact, and the two extremes, one of them happened in 1981, which is, what, 35 years ago? So, you know, I mean, that's pretty interesting, 35 years. All of this is happening in the last, you know, 1/5 of the time period. In the last 20% or less, you've had not only the extreme high in rates, but the extreme low in rates. And what do extremes tell you when you're talking about rates?
That's
They
interesting.
tell
It
you-
started to fall, okay, prior to the fall of the Soviet Union. Okay. All right.
Yeah, interest rate. This is 1981. This is the fourth quarter of 1981, and I was looking at the market on that day because I had received a call from the Commissioner of New York State Banks the day before that said if bonds break 55, we will have a moratorium on bonds. So you can count on the fact that I was looking at bonds, and I don't usually care about bonds. But what was going on then is interest rates were over 20%. I mean, general interest rates. The prime, I believe, was over 20%. And bonds dropped down to 55. So you've got a bunch of people buying bonds now. Bonds are at 174, yielding 2.2%. Here, bonds were at 55, yielding 15%. And this is Treasury bills. Bonds were yielding 18%. So if you were to ask somebody...
At that time, home mortgages were about 18%, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I picked up a second for 18% sometime around this time. I mean, earlier than this. So they were more than that. I mean, you can, you know, seconds were 24% probably. But anyway, if somebody doesn't know anything at all about bonds, and everybody's buying bonds now, otherwise they wouldn't be at 174, would they? Right? I mean, so bonds are like...
Right.
I mean, bonds are like really popular right now. In other words, bonds are at the highest price in the history of the country right now. Right now. In the entire nation, they're at the highest price, which means they're the most popular. And I thought, well, gee, if that's the case, that must be a great time to buy bonds. And I said, all you got to do is look at this chart. I mean, because people will argue, well, this is a great time to buy bonds. You need to be safe. You need to be this. You need to be that. And I say, hey, listen, I'm just not that smart. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look on this chart here, and I'm going to let the chart tell me what's a good time to buy bonds and what's a bad time. Or what's a good, bottom line, the chart will tell you what's a good time to buy them, what's a good time to sell them. Well, right here, let's see, I don't know if that's good or a bad time. I know it's an extreme. And guess what was happening in 1981? Guess what the people in the financial news media were saying? I don't know if you remember, but I clearly remember.
I don't.
The one thing that they were saying all the time was, what were the news media guys on TV looking for and the radio? We are going into a depression. That's what everybody was looking for in 1981. You check it out. The last time they talked about going into a depression in this country, I mean, a little bit in 2008, but if you really want to see a time...
1881.
1981, right here.
I'd have still got it wrong, but that's okay.
See that? 1981, right on the chart here.
Yeah.
I know that. I know when that happened, regardless of what the chart says. I mean, I remember the date.
Sure.
But the answer is real easy. So you can talk to all these geniuses on TV, and they'll say, well, you know, obviously bonds are, it's the best time to buy them now. They're the most valuable, blah, blah, blah. You know, and that's fine.
It's the best time to refinance your house, but not necessarily the best time to buy bonds.
Yeah. I mean, here's this chart will tell you. Right here, you could buy bonds. Looks like I got knocked off. Anyway, you can buy bonds
Still on.
right here for $55. That means you pay $550 per $1,000 bond. That's what that means. So you're looking at a 100%, basically, give or take a little, almost 100% appreciation if you hold them to maturity or if the bond gets called. I mean, depending upon what it gets called at. But and what are they doing? They're paying you 15%, and if you were buying 30-year bonds, they're paying you 80%. I'm sorry, 18% while you hold the bond. Now, by comparison, today, did we get cut off or am I?
No.
Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can
Yeah,
hear you.
my data connection is cutting off for some reason, but
can you hear me? I hear you.
I can't.
Fine.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. I just didn't know.
Okay.
Anyway, here's the deal. The point here is that in one case you can buy bonds for $550 and get 18% on them, and now you can buy the same bond. This is the same bond for $1,740 as opposed to $550, and we'll pay you 2.2%. So which one do you like better?
Well,
would you rather pay $550 for the same thing or $1,740 for the same thing?
Well, obviously, yeah, $550.
I mean, this is like, do you want to buy that new Chevy out there for $20,000, or would you rather pay $1 million for it? Well, would you rather pay $100,000 for it?
Sure.
It's the same car. It's your choice. We'll do either one for you. That's not. It's like a guy giving you, hey, here's a $20 gold piece or $20. Which one do you want? Now that's not such a, in days gone by that was a real easy deal. But I'll tell you what, you can go on the internet and you can see people taking a $1 Hershey bar as opposed to a, let's see, it's a 10-ounce silver bar, so figure that one out. $170, at the time.
Yeah.
170.
Yeah.
Let's see, this is $1. This is worth $1. This is worth $170.
New visitor.
They all took the $1. 170 to 1, and they all took the cold Hershey bar.
New visitor.
Anyway, this is what they're doing right now. This chart tells you this is what they're doing right now. These people that are rushing to the safety of bonds. I said, seriously, do you think these U.S. Treasury bonds are safe? Here's where your interest rates are. If your interest rates go up, your bond is going to dive in price. It'll just dive right off the face of the earth in price if interest rates go up. Now, tell you what, interest rates could go negative, and then your bonds would be worth more. The question is, how long are people going to put their money into a bank or anywhere else where they're paying for the privilege of doing it? And at what point do they go, this is crazy? See, I'm crazy enough to think this is crazy right now. We don't have to wait for crazy. Crazy's here. But what the heck do I know? I would take the silver bar and wouldn't think about it. And everybody else seems to take the Hershey bar. So I may be wrong. In a democracy, I'm clearly wrong. Funny part is, I think I'm going to stick with my thoughts on this one. But hang on just a second. I'm sorry. Hi, James. I'm on a interview right now. And apparently you're on it with me. No, anyway. I'll call you. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's just something to think about. Everybody's buying them. I'd love to pay $1,740, and I hang around for 30 years, and I know that the value of the dollar is undoubtedly going to go up in the next 30 years. It always goes up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And let's see, I'll wait. It's gone from, 1930 it was worth $1, and today it's worth about a penny. So, if you're waiting in time for the value of the dollar to go up, that's probably not a good idea. And who knows what it's going to do 30 years from now. But if the last 30 years were any comparison, the expectation wouldn't be for the value to go up. But anyway, I'm going to pay $1,740 for a bond. I'm going to wait 30 years and I'll get $1,000 back. You know? Well, if you like losing 74% or whatever it is, that's
just insanity. And so how long? And I mean, and what's the whole business with negative interest rates? I mean,
insanity is prevailing on this planet in every level. Not only here, but even when you're comparing silver and Hershey bars. I mean, it's being done by intelligent people. Isn't that interesting? I mean, that was done in Encinitas, California. You got a few $1 million or $1 million, you can buy a house there. Here is earnings. Isn't it interesting that we made new all-time highs, right?
yeah.
But this is what earnings have been done. Isn't that interesting? Earnings are down the last 5 quarters. You know the last time you had 5 consecutive quarters of earnings drop?
No.
Third quarter of 2008 through the third quarter of 2009. But that's what's going on. I would think if you have 5 consecutive quarters, that probably new all-time highs in stocks makes sense, right? No. Never in the past, but it does now for some reason. So anyway, that's kind of I find these things interesting. Obviously, there's something wrong with me, but you know, doesn't that kind of make anybody question a little bit? Isn't that interesting? And not only are these earnings, they're not trending up, they're trending down. And what else is happening? They're really not a very good representation of earnings, are they? Because what are the big multinational globalist elite companies doing? They're all buying back their stock. Now, are they buying them back because they love to buy back their stock because it's such a good deal and it's a really intelligent thing to do with your cash? Because what's that do? It weakens your financial position when you buy back your own company stock, right? You don't have as much cash on hand, and it's and you've taken it from cash and put it in something risky, your company.
Well, you know, stock buybacks for the longest time, it was the beginning of the death spiral of a penny stock or any stock that was in trouble because it was designed to be a show of strength. Oh, you people think we're failing, you think we're falling. We'll show you. We have so much faith in ourselves, we'll buy our own stock. Rarely has it been for what I would call a legitimate and good reason.
Well, the reason here is real clear because these aren't penny stocks. These are big multinational companies. What they're doing it for is to reduce the number of outstanding shares so it shows like from last quarter to this quarter that their earnings went up when in fact they went down, but they're having to buy enough stock to make the outstanding shares small enough so that it would appear for those earnings went up. Pretty amazing, huh? Because it's all earnings per share. See, so if you do it per share, if there's a lot less shares, you got the same amount of earnings, makes it look like your earnings went up. So again, there's a big charade going on. Here's part of the charade. Here's part of the charade. Earnings are part of the charade. And hey, net new highs would seem to be part of the charade too, but you can't fight the tape, right? I mean, in other words, the market's the market. It's doing what it's doing. And I put this chart on because this is the price channel from the February 11th low. So here is the price channel. Looks like it's, 45 degrees up, pretty strong price move. But here's what's happened. From this point here, the price angle, which here was dramatic, has vectored over to this sideways. Not sideways, but up at a lesser degree. And what happened? Here you broke down out of the lower channel. Now you've rallied up to it. You broke down pretty good. And now you've rallied up and just made it through, but you're at only the lower part of this original channel from down here. So as exciting as this looks in the overall big picture, in the picture from February 11th, it's not that big a deal. The resistance that I see, we just broke through today this resistance from this prior high running at this angle here, and that's based on this low and the high in between. And then you have the more aggressive move from these two lows based off the same high, which is a little bit higher, and that's probably going to be resistance. This chart's got a bunch of lines on it, but let me show you one. Initially, these are the highs.
Now this is the S&P 500 cash index. This is daily.
Right.
Okay, going back to...
Yeah, here's your May high last year. Here's your July high, May 20th, July 20th. Here's your August 18th fall going down. So if you draw this angle through these tops, this angle is the same as this angle, is the same as this angle. This is the angle off the first May top, from here to here through these highs. This one from here to this next high. This is the same angle. From here, now you missed these two, but those were aberrations, and you hit a whole bunch of them here, and you hit this one here, and you came over here right when it started to go down. So that's a great trend line. They're all the same angle. And this one here, same thing. Didn't hit this high here, but again, you hit the breakdown point here, just like you did over here. So great angles. Now we've broken through it. Notice that we haven't broken through any of these. You know, here they've come down. I mean, you broke through here, but here you've come down, here you've come down. Now you've come up here, pretty good down here. Okay, so anyway, that's just showing the validity of price angles. And I'm going to show you where I have some right now with another angle that's pretty good, pretty valid. This is the trend line off the February low, and I went through the June low. I think it's the same thing I did here. Right. In this case, I'm going through. In this case, I'm going through the deeper low because this is now the defined low over here. In this chart, that would have brought this line down here, but here I was trying to show what the price channel was from here, which is what we're looking at. Now that we've got the new low in, now we've got a different and broader price channel because we've got a lower low. So that's what this black line is. Now, I've taken this line and paralleled it off the meaningful high in between, so that's probably a pretty good resistance point, just a little bit above, and the one here excuse me, is also just a little bit above. And then in addition to that, you know, I've got some other lines in here. This line here obviously was broken through on the upside. This little line here is off these lows down here. It got broken through. This is the I think this is the highs off the May and the July high. We broke through that. You know, we broke through everything. This is a little shorter term line, and then this brown line here is the May high, and we broke through that. So we've kind of broken through everything, and we've closed outside of it a couple of times now, so it's a legitimate breakthrough. So now we just got to look for resistance, and I've got some right overhead here. And oh, by the way, this green line, this is based off these two lows. And then if you take this line and move it up off this low here, look what it does. It catches this low.
Right.
It catches this low. Yeah. And so now you've got 3 points on that line. So once again, this same angle, for whatever reason, is a very valid trend line. And if we move it up to here, this low here, look what it does. It catches this low, catches some lows in here, catches that high, comes through here, and then it catches the launch point from here. Once again, valid trend line. Now we take it up to these highs here. Comes across here. Well, we're going to find out if it gives any price resistance pretty quickly. And then, of course, going off this high here allows for a higher price. So that's what all my crazy lines are. That's the psychology behind the crazy lines. This is a 65-minute chart.
Why 65 minutes?
because it breaks down evenly in the day to about 6 periods. You know, you're not overlapping.
Okay.
Again, and that's on a cash chart. On a futures chart, you're looking at 87 minutes. I'm sorry, 81 minutes and 27 minutes. Those are equal time periods. I mean, 27 instead of 30, and 80 minutes instead of 60, or an hour and a half or whatever. But those I kind of like. If they break down evenly into the time period, I find I find it to be meaningful for what it's worth. But this is 65-minute chart. Here's the recent low on the Brexit thing, and it's like, what's going on? Well, wave one, it looks like not often lately have there been really good Elliott wave counts. All of a sudden, it appears to be one. Looks like it's a wave one up, 1, 2, and then a little 1, 2, and it would appear that we're in a wave three. Wave 3 of 3 of 5 is what it looks like. This would be wave 3 on a bigger picture from this 2 to wherever this is going to go. But it looks like we're getting close to finishing up the wave 3 of 3. Should get a correction for 4, and then another move up for wave 5, and then we complete this 3. It would be 1, 2, 3, and you should get an ABC 4, and then a wave 5 up to complete this. And if it's on a 65-minute chart, I don't know, maybe that happens Friday or Thursday or Friday or something like that. That's what that's what it would appear like. But then and then here on my indicator down here you're deeply oversold. I got a buy signal right here, which is there, and it says stay in right here. Here you lose momentum. You're losing it internally. The line's rolling over. You get out here. That's up here. Come in here, buy signal here, buy, sell, buy, and then here you are. And now, this peak here matches that peak there. So that's the amount of buying pressure to get to here. Now it's moved much higher with a lesser amount of buying pressure. That's not a divergence, because this is still a little bit higher than this. But this moved up a lot more with not a whole lot more buying pressure. So that would imply that pretty soon here, we probably should get at least a short-term pullback from here. Unless the global elitists have a different plan for us, in which case we have to be aware of that. So anyway, that's about all I know at the moment, or at least all I brought.
Let me just ask. This is a historic day for the markets. This is what you've done for a living for many years. It's what I've done since 2005. Should we feel some sense of elation, concern, worry? I remember the last time champagne corks were popping at 1550, and we pretty quickly took a dive to 666.
Yeah, my view is, like the great
Are we
spirit.
out walking on the ledge here, or do we have terra firma beneath our feet?
Well, I would think that would have been covered. The answer is I don't know, but this is an extreme. This is an extreme. There's something wrong in extremes. This one was a depression. This one was, did these rates get here naturally? No.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to discount the very eloquent way that you had broke it down and described it, but I thought perhaps for those who maybe have a little difficulty, they're new to charts, they're new to lines, we have a lot of new people on the show, just maybe if you could encapsulate in a few minutes what you think the near future holds. And
well, I think the reality is, I can do some bigger picture stuff,
I think you did a great job with what you did. I just want to make sure that there's no one in the audience that on the
big picture, on the big picture, which I haven't gone over here today, but for the people in the audience, you always have the guys on TV that are just telling you that the market's going to go higher. I mean, I remember Jim Cramer came on and talked specifically about Bear Stearns, and Bear Stearns was in the 60s, and he said, no, this is a great company, this is it, blah, 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 this is a great company, this is insane, it's, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, within a couple of weeks, it was at $2. So, I mean, that's what these guys do, and I'm not, throwing a rock at Jim Cramer, but that's what he did. Go on YouTube, you can watch him say.
The world should throw rocks at Jim Cramer. Come on, what a buffoon!
Yeah.
Buffoon.
Well,
love.
I think he's the clown of Wall Street, but apparently we're at a time where we need clowns. I mean,
He probably accounts for 50% of the revenue of the advertising revenue for that whole network. Can you imagine how many salaries he pays with his rolled up sleeves and all his little sound effects? I mean,
well, these people, there's certain groups of people that rush to see him. And it's all, this is why they have blue cards and green cards, right? One person likes one, the other likes the other, and that's just the way it is. He's a popular guy now. Hershey bars are more popular than silver. There you go. What I'm saying is that when you're at this phase of the cycle, I'm talking about the 80-year cycle, the life cycle, the average life cycle of the human being. Mm-hmm. When we're at the end of this particular cycle, what's going to happen, I don't know. But I can show you on other charts that the expectation, people that have listened to this show have probably heard me say every 40 years or so, something bad happens. Every 80 years or so, something really bad happens. But let's translate that. What does that mean? It means that every 40 years or so, you get a serious recession. One that if you missed and didn't get out of the market or didn't move to safety, you will live to wish you had. In the second situation is that every 80 years or so, let's not mix words, you get a depression. And people say, oh gosh, you can't say that. Oh, we haven't had one for 8 years. Oh gosh, oh gosh. Wake up, grow up, do some homework. You get a depression. That's just the way it works. Will we get one this time? I don't know. I don't know whether we will or not. But everything certainly is headed that way. Why, after 2008 and into 2009, would you have a manufactured bull market? Because that's what we've had. This market hasn't been pushed by extremely quality political leadership or smart political moves or smart business moves or things that have reduced the deficit and increased surpluses. None of that's happened. This is the result of QE. Without QE, it wouldn't have happened. And ZIRP, zero interest rate policy. Let's see, if we push interest rates down to zero, then you're not going to get any money in your money market funds, are you? And so pretty soon you're going to get bored and you're going to go, well, if I can't get any money in there, I might as well take some risk in the stock market. So they do. So what do you have in money market funds? Not a lot. Why? Because that's what they've engineered us to do. How about, that's the zero interest rate policy. They've done the QE for as long as they could. Now they're talking about doing it again because you've got a problem. Here's what's happened. If you've looked, why did they do this? They did it to save the banks, right? They don't care about us.
No.
If you're a banker, they're doing this to save the banks. What are we there for? We're there to pay the bill. We're there to go, hey, do you guys want to bail out the banks? Oh, that's right. They didn't ask us, did they? They didn't ask us. They just said, oh, we have to bail out the banks. Well, I go, well, why is that? Well, because they're our friends and they're part of our deal for, roasting you guys, and you guys aren't smart enough to say anything about it, so we're just going to keep doing it. Anyway, that's obviously what's going on. And what happened? They gave them the money in time to give big bonuses. Remember that? We're moving into the end of the year, and boy, just in time for the Christmas bonuses for the great job that these guys have done. Anyway, that's what's going on. and the money went into the banks. Have you bothered to look, by the way, at a regional European bank stocks chart? Because if you have, you'll find out that, with all this QE and with the zero interest rate policy, that's got to make things much better, right? I mean, we're at all-time highs. Everybody knows that, so things have got to be good. Doesn't the stock market tell you what's really going on? Well, guess what? If you happen to look at regional European banks, they're going to be lower than they were in 2008 and 2009. So all these billions upon hundreds of billions of dollars, etc., that have been pulled from taxpayers around the world and shoved in to patch up these holes, what's the bottom line result? We're worse off than we were at the bottom of 2008. Take a look at, let me see if I can find...
now, I had a comment in here from Maria. Let me pull that back up for just a second. Maria said that the prime rate, what she found, March 19th, 1980 was 19%, and then she came back and said April 1st of 1980 to April 2nd of 1980 was 20%.
Yeah. Well, the peak...
Then Jeff had a question, very interesting, and he was referring to all that you've said. What actionable market trades do you think are possible, if any?
My typical question when somebody asks me a question is when.
I would think he means as in today.
Well, I don't like to.
In the near to immediate future.
Yeah, I never give any advice over the thing because I don't know who I'm talking to, and you run into two problems.
When you're speaking in generalities to a group of people, you're totally off the hook because you're not dispensing one-on-one personalized investment advice.
Yeah, I mean the idea here is we've moved to a new high, and I think I'm not. You and I are technical people, not fundamental people, but right. but the question is, if this was happening in the late 1980s as we were going into that runaway market in technology, remember when the technology boom started? All of a sudden the economy was pretty good and it was being led by technology, and even though things were overvalued, you did have a good economy. You had what was viewed as good political leadership. We've since learned it was corrupt, but I guess that's a word we get to live with for a while. But anyhow, you had a very strong time period. So you got to ask the question: is the political leadership of this country good right now? Well, look at the country as if it were a company. Well, it's run in such a manner that it's losing money. Okay, and then on the trade part of that business, it's losing more money. Your world trade. So it's losing money there. Then it's making investment decisions. Investment decision, for example, would be the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War. That's a decision. Was it a good decision? Well, it's cost us trillions of dollars. It's a horrid decision. Seems like everything that the government is doing, and I don't just mean Obama. Iraq happened before him. Yeah. So it's Republican and Democrat. These guys can't make an intelligent decision to save their life. So we've got horrid leadership across the board. Let's call a spade a spade. Don't mix words here. This isn't a party thing. This isn't Republican or Democrat. These people are either incredibly corrupt or incredibly stupid or both. There isn't any other alternative. Why? Judge them on the job they're doing. Let me put it to you this way. If the guy was a baseball player, they'd have a batting average of minus something. You can only get 0. You strike out every time you go to the plate. These guys are doing a horrid job. Okay? If you go back to the 80s when Reagan was in there, the economy was going well, things were making pretty good decisions. Big difference. If you go back to JFK, big difference. Now, I don't care whether it's Republican or Democrat. It's really, really bad decisions. It's resulting in loss of money. Again, look at the nation as if it were a common stock or a company. Look at it as if it were a big company. How's the company being run? We'd be out of business a long time ago. We are totally insolvent, okay? Well, they go, well, wait a minute, we're not insolvent. Everything's still going. Really? Why is that? There's only one reason. Only one. Because we have a printing press. Without that printing press, we're done. America, gone. Put a big red X on it, put the line through it, we're done. We can't, we're Venezuela, we're Argentina, maybe we wish we were that. We've got, way more debt than, we're bigger, but, it's just bad. That's what you make your decision on. And where are we in the big overall cycle? I'd love to talk to your audience about how that cycle works sometimes, but where we are in that cycle is what big picture is due. Are we due for a boom or a depression? We're due for a depression. Is everything pretty much confirming that? Yes, except the guys on TV who are you might as well stick a dress on them and give them some pom-poms. They always do that. When are they not bullish at a market top? When have you ever seen the guys on TV not overwhelmingly bullish at a market top?
The article I wrote the other day for Seeking Alpha, one that they have some kind of some little system. It's like a pat on the back thing, but I wrote an article about how right now, you've got the talking heads out there, the ones that are the doom and gloom talking heads, telling you to sell, 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 because those in the know have these deep, dark pools of liquidity who are waiting to simply swoop in and buy on the cheap from the guy who didn't have a lot and was scared out of what little that he had. It's a cycle I've seen repeated again and again and again. And the editors at Seeking Alpha, they thought quite highly of that thought, and they gave me some ado for it. And so I thank them. In case they're listening in today, I appreciate you guys and what you're doing for me. And I'm going to continue to do even more for you guys. But analysts, where do analysts upgrade a stock? At the top. Where do they downgrade a stock? At the bottom. What does this do? It makes the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It's the oldest game in the world. And I can't possibly be the only guy that's figured that out yet.
Well, yeah, but we're at a way different point in the cycle. We're at the same point in the cycle when you had, going back in the cycle, Al Capone and all the stuff that was going on then. Isn't it interesting in even a semi-cycle, the halfway cycle? In other words, I'm talking about every 40 years or so. You get a bottom and you get a top in, 1929, 40 or so years later. Your next top was 1973, that mid-range recession, serious recession, worst recession since the Great Depression, started in 1973. What was going on in 1973? Richard Nixon was president, and he was dealing with Watergate. What are we dealing with now? Hillary Clinton, and Nixon. He only took out 18 minutes of tapes. Hillary had 30,000 emails and a whole bunch of other stuff. But isn't it amazing how these things keep coming up at the same time? Hillary didn't pop up doing all this stuff 20 years ago. She probably was doing it, but nobody was paying any attention. But now it comes forefront into the minds of everybody and via the news media. And what happened? You've got it with back then with Nixon, semi-cycle, every 40 years or so, here it is again. And then she gets in as president, and it looks like the powers that be want that. And it's like, my thought would be, just looking at things, I don't care if she's a woman. What kind of a decision is that? Oh, the women. Well, we want a woman in there. Well, that's nice. Why don't you get one that's not dishonest? Why would you rally around one like this? It's like Obama, whether you like him or not. Why would you rally around somebody to run the free world who's never had a legitimate job? It just doesn't. Why does it? Why do people do that? Why do people go for Hershey bars instead of a silver bar? In other words, what the heck is wrong with people? Well, I mean, this is the process. Can this market go higher for another year? And could we be looking at the S&P at 2,400 or 2,500? Well, that's not out of the question. But I don't think that's the question. I mean, if a guy is just a trader, it's like, do what you want. Nobody needs my opinion, because once I give an opinion, then it's what are you going to do once you're in there? I might catch 2 or 3 points on it and be gone, and then somebody on the show would say, hey, well, Garrett said to buy, and now the market's down. Well, what's he doing? Well, he's short now. Well, you get a chance to talk to the guy. So on a trading thing, if it's a trading thing, you just trade, you create yourself a discipline, you read some books and do that. But I'm looking at the big picture here. This is the most serious time, in my view, in the entire history of the country, bar none, period. There's never been a more dangerous time in the history of the country. We run the risk of losing our country and losing our type of government because the evolution is very simple. The evolution of government is from republic to democracy, which the founding fathers never intended. But we've been told, oh, look at it, democracy is good, isn't it? It's the rule of the majority. Republics have not, they don't care what the majority thinks. They have created the laws, and those are the laws. It doesn't matter what the majority thinks. What if the majority is not very smart? Is it a good deal then? I don't think so. What if half the majority is illiterate and doesn't care? That's why you have a republic. That's why you have the law of the land. These criminals are moving away from the law of the land, and they've been doing it for a long time. Pay attention. We're about to lose that. So this is an important election. We're about to lose the next evolution, which we're following very clearly, is republic to democracy to dictatorship. If people don't see that, if people don't see going against the Constitution and doing what they want to do when they want to do it, is a dictatorship. That's what a dictatorship does. You're a dictator. You do what you want. You don't care about the Constitution. You don't care about what the public thinks. By the way, the public doesn't think anymore, so that's a real good time to do it because you can get away with it.
Oh.
You think you're getting away with this in the 1950s?
Have you been watching this show that, I think Bill O'Reilly is the host, and it's called, it's not Liars and Scoundrels, but it has to do with the history and the founding of our country, and who was there for the signing of the different papers, and how closely we came to not winning the war. And I mean, it's a new miniseries that's out. I can't think of the name of it. Let me see. Does somebody in the chat box? Can somebody in the chat box tell me what the
new
name
visitor
of that thing is? Legends and Lies. Thank you very much, Craig. You should Google, you should Google this up, okay? Legends and Lies. It is well done, and it's not party specific. I mean, we're talking about America becoming a nation. It is absolutely fascinating.
I think people are starting to wake up, but you would be amazed if you watch TV and you see some of these people and what they're doing. It's amazing the complete and total lack of awareness that these people have. You notice that everything now is driven on emotion. They're all these things that people are doing, almost everything that you pick from Black Lives Matter to whatever you want to pick is all emotionally driven, and half the time these things are funded by George Soros. one of the world's great rabble rousers. I don't know why we allow the guy to be in the country, but anyhow. No. In my view, this is the most dangerous and risky time in the entire country, and and I think the market at this point is highly risky too. But if you're just talking about short-term trading, then you do what you do and you follow your discipline, and you probably tell people how to do that better than anybody else out there. So the one thing you talk about, just in the times that I've popped on and heard about it, it's all about discipline, right?
Yes.
See, brains are a dime a dozen, frankly. If you walk around in the right circles, and particularly in the circle in the marketplace, it's not hard to find somebody that's smart. Literally, brains are a dime a dozen. But brains with discipline, that's hard to find. And the guys who win in this game aren't the smartest guys out there. They're the guys who have discipline. And that dynamic is pretty true in everything if you think about it. A lot of the guys are, the most talent, but there's a lot of guys out there, we've seen it, and it doesn't matter what the sport is, basketball or anything. It's not always the guys with the best talent that are the best players. It is a lot of times, but you can count on it. The guys who are the best players with a lot of talent and have great discipline, those are the guys whose names we know. And it's the same thing in the market. It's the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, it's probably the same thing in anything you do. The guys who have discipline, the people, the women who have discipline and who pay attention and do their homework, the answer is real simple. Do your homework. Be honest about it. Don't let other people influence you. Do your own work. Do your own, in this case, let Dwayne do it, but, get yourself a model, somebody who's done it well, and follow, as they say, find yourself is model the word I'm looking for? A mentor, somebody to model after. Somebody.
Let me say this. Right now, they're giving the Raymond James downgrades. See, right now they're telling you what to get out of, because within a week the smart money is going to be buying it up. But anyway, example I wanted to use is
are they?
my whole life. I either worked for a sales company, or I managed a sales company, and then of course since I was 37, I owned a sales company up until which point I built CFRN. But I was always the top salesman in every office that I worked in. However, I was never, not even close to the most talented salesman. I was the salesman who was willing to work the hardest. I was the guy that was willing to come in early, to stay late, to do the homework, to do whatever it took, so that at the end of the week on Friday, when it came time for everybody to line up and the paychecks to be passed out, my name was at the top of the leaderboard. And what's interesting is, over time, people began to assume that I was the most talented salesman the company had, when there was guys that could sell circles around me. But they'd come in and they'd sell a deal, and then they'd go out and smoke cigarettes for 15 minutes. I couldn't afford to do that. I had to smile and dial and make more calls, and that's how I came out on top. That's how I made the most money.
Well, they don't teach it anymore. Now there's nobody gets a prize for being first place. He gets the same thing as the last place. So the incentive is removed. because it's like, why should I exert? Because that guy over there who's going to come in last is going to get the same trophy as I get. And nobody talks about hard work. It's like, well, gee, if you don't want to work hard, we can figure out a way to give you a welfare check or something. It's okay. It's just they've taken everything that made this country great leading into 1970, which was the peak, and they're done exactly the opposite. If you look at it, it's a complete. We became an empire because we were the hungry, lean, mean fighter that did just what you said, put in the extra hours, did the extra work, and that's how you become number one. Well, we've gone from number 1 to number 38 in education because we've somehow adopted the policies by a lot of these progressive people that know all the answers. Bottom line is, let's see how it works. Don't tell me what you think is great and show me a bunch of stuff. Show me how it's worked. Well, this old method that was supposedly archaic to you people took us from nowhere to number 1 and kept us there for a while, and you people have taken us from number 1 to number 38 and fallen. So you know what? I think I can figure out which one's better on that. Why anybody doesn't bring that up, I don't know. But you just confirmed it with what you said, and I think inherently everybody knows that. Why they follow these people who lie to them, the bottom line is this. We're human beings. This is what we do as a group. We create greatness, and then we blow it away. That's the human being in mass. That's the way it works. And if you don't believe that we've gone from republic to democracy and now moving into dictatorship, just take a look at the facts. Don't listen to anybody. Do some research and come up with the same answer. It's all this stuff is pretty obvious, but people are unwilling to look, and when they do look, my other advice to people is, look, do your homework and then have confidence in your homework. Your results will tell you whether you studied the right thing. And if you studied the wrong thing, guess what? You just got some experience. Don't give up. Do your homework again. That's how you do it. You weren't the most. You didn't make 100% of your sales, did you?
Oh, no.
I mean, you were the top salesman, but you didn't win 100% of the time, did you?
No.
Did you lose more? Did you lose more than you won?
A whole lot more.
Well, there you go. How about that? Here's a guy who lost a whole lot more than he won, and he was number 1. And not number 1 every now and again, but number 1 consistently. My thought is, do what he says. That's all I'm saying. Do your homework. Put your time in. Make it happen. And that's how you do it. Don't accept a welfare check. Go out and get a job. You feel a lot better. That, will change. It's a cycle. Hey, listen, I've got to run. Thank you for your time.
All right, brother. All right, let me see. Is there a final question here for you real quick?
Sure.
Let's see. More importantly is how can anyone... This is not support... Okay, that's way back to the Hillary stuff. Let me just see what there might be for you. Pride precedes fall. Okay, whoever is put up on a pedestal will eventually fall. Okay. How come it's not in the news about Obama appointing the Muslim female judge, and she takes
New
the
visitor
oath of office on the Quran, so Sharia law will be her guide on how she will make her decisions? I bet you I don't bet, but if you snope that, if you dig down to the facts, I'm thinking you're going to find that's urban legend and not truth. I could be wrong.
You know what?
And if I'm wrong, please let me know.
Here's a question for you along those lines. I don't know if that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
I would. I would be extremely surprised if it were true. And
well, there's a lot of stuff. Let me ask you this: would you be extremely surprised? You remember who Daniel Pearl was? He was the guy who got his head cut off. He was the. Remember him? He was the first, not the first terrorist thing, but he was the one who had his head cut off. That's the first one that we saw publicly. Daniel Pearl was a news journalist.
Yes, Michael, that's how these urban legends get spread, is through email. But please, I do want you to send me the email very much, so that I can vet it. And trust me, if there's truth to it, boy, I'll be pounding this desk every day for some time to come. But
Well, I think
I'm afraid
you know,
we're going to find out that there's perhaps some half-truth to it, or who knows. We'll see. But please, please send me the email.
let me give you something a lot more serious than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't let these things go. You act on them. But that's not going to happen now. I'll give you something a little bit more serious. How about Muslim terrorist training camps being allowed to operate in the United States? That's even more serious. That's kind of like being at war, and I don't want to say with Russia, because I think Russia probably should be our ally. But let's say if you go back to World War II, and we just got bombed by the Japanese, okay, in Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
But we found out that we're allowing a whole bunch of militant Japanese whose oath is to wipe us out, to have camps all over the United States. If you don't think...
That is the most ridiculous piece of garbage I have ever heard in my life. It is a fact. It's not an urban legend.
It is a fact. It's been going on for years.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think Hillary will put a stop to that?
Oh, come on.
Okay, let me ask you, do you think Donald Trump will put a stop to that?
If he knows about it, there's no question he will. If he knows about it, there's no question.
He's smart enough to be president of the United States of America. I'm pretty sure he knows about it.
I wouldn't use that as a benchmark.
I'll send him a personal letter. I'll make sure he knows, okay?
Well, we want him to know about that if he got in there. I mean, what president wouldn't? I mean, I know exactly what I'd do in that situation. You need to borrow stuff from something that's successful in that area. I mean, if somebody's there sworn to,
I'm
there's a lot of...
but I don't understand why a bunch of crazy drunk rednecks aren't running around blowing these places up. Again, I am anti-violence, and I'm not promoting violence. Because look at what are the... Because America's upside down, Dwayne. America's upside down. Yeah. What would the crazy rednecks be called if you gave them a name? Well, they'd be patriots, right? Yeah.
Guess who's not very popular? What about Tea Party people? They're patriots. They're taxpayers. They're law-abiding. They're tax-paying, law-abiding, employed people who pay taxes. Yeah. And that's what we define on wonderful shows like The View for women and so forth. That's what we define as crazy people. Really? And who are saying? Well, the Occupy Wall Street people and the Black Lives Matter, and half of these people are unemployed rabble-rousers, they're somehow saying, and the Tea Party people are crazy. So, anyway, that's our country right now. I've been more proud of it at other times. Anyway, on a more positive note, I got to get going.
All right, buddy. Listen,
thank you for your time. It's nice to share time with your audience.
We always love having you here. We love having your crazy charts with all those lines. And we, too, someday when we grow up, want to be able to draw charts just like that.
I've got some charts.
It's really amazing the word I'm looking for that's built into the markets. I don't think geometry is perhaps the proper word, but I think you know what I'm talking about when you say this connects to this, connects to this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mosaic or the matrix.
And 20 years later, it comes back out and touches this point and bounces off of it. I mean, you know what happens? That doesn't happen by chance.
You know what happens to me, Dwayne, a lot of times? I'll have charts there, various charts, and where I put in, lines that are important to me, and then for some reason, I look at other charts and miss these charts, haven't looked in. All of a sudden, I go back to them only to see price drop down right to that trend line and turn right off it. That happens to me
all the time.
all the time. Drives
All
me
the
nuts.
time.
It's like, well, why wasn't I looking at that? But there it is. Anyway, I better get going.
All right, buddy.
Thank you so much. Okay, you have a great day, Dwayne.
All right, you take care.
Okay.
I'm going to get these screens back over to me. Like that. And like that. And then I'm going to do it like this. Because this is how we do it. Bang. Oh. All right. Now, we said earlier 175 to 174 was $1,000 per contract on bonds. And that if we got down to 173, we missed a $2,000 drop in bonds today by 7 ticks. See, this is 175, this is 174, and this is 173.07. So if we'd have dipped just and look, leg, retrace, there's nobody saying there may not be another leg here and that this may not be a $2,000 per contract day. So time will tell. All we got to do is watch the chart. Scott says, I've not read this article, Snopes.com, Muslim woman sworn New York City civil judge. Richard, I ask a question and you asked a question and I missed it. When you asked about the dates November 10th and 25th, plus or minus 2 days as potential for significant top and Dow and indices. You know what? I will copy this right now and I will go to my email and I'll email Mr. Garrett. And on the subject line, I will put audience question. With a blink of an eye and a twinkle of his nose, he hits the send button and off it goes. So, possibly, he just might email us back with an answer. I'm sorry I missed the question, Richard. I really am. When you feel like when you get that feeling that I might be missing a question, don't just copy and paste it and put it in again, because then it puts it in with a little 2 beside it, and that makes it stand out, and it makes it far less likely for me to miss it. Okay, Craig, Legend Lies, FoxNews.com shows Legends and Lies. Also, Fox News did a piece on this show, Legend and Lies. Now, I've been seeing the late episodes on, I think, CNN, when I thought I was seeing them on CNN when I was watching or when I was doing some late night work, but I might have had the channel on Fox. But just all you got to do, guys, Google Legend and Lies. It'll pop right up, and it's pretty interesting. It really is, because I think to a degree we all take how our country was formed. The blood and treasure that was shed for us to be a free American. And also, when you think about what a young nation we are, by comparison. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, 1976, graduated high school at 16, and I think that's when the country was celebrating their, what was it called, the bicentennial, 200th year anniversary. I mean, I've been to England and Europe and different places. I've been places where, like, 200 years isn't a spit in the bucket. I mean, we're still a young nation. We're still a nation trying to get our legs underneath us, so to speak. So, that's an interesting comment. Thanks for sharing it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I've already covered all that. I've covered that. Yeah, Richard again, I'm saying, again. Okay, and so I'm going to highlight a little bit of this. Obama appoints Muslim female judge and she takes off office on the Quran. Okay, I'm going to Google that little snippet. And see if I can find anything. First thing that comes up is Snopes. I had a feeling, but we'll see what they say. Now, these are two people who they make their living sitting around debunking stuff. And maybe they haven't debunked this, I don't know. On 13 December 2015, the website Allen West Republic published an article about the swearing in of Judge Carolyn Walker Diallo titled Obama's America, Muslim Woman Sworn in as Judge. Look at the first thing she does. New York Judge Carolyn Walker Diallo, a black Muslim woman, took oath as a civil court judge in New York on Thursday while swearing to abide by the U.S. Constitution, placing her hand on the Holy Quran. The article's primary assertion was that the first thing Walker Diallo did upon becoming a judge was to place her hand upon the Quran, although technically she didn't become a judge until the swearing in was complete. Judges are sworn in using a Bible, religious text of their choice, or a copy of the U.S. Constitution. A similar controversy erupted regarding, now remember, this is coming off the Snopes site. Now these are the people that usually debunk this stuff when it's not true. So what I'm reading to you seems starting to sound pretty important. A similar controversy erupted regarding Minnesota Congresswoman Keith Ellison's use of a Quran in 2006. At that time, UCLA law professor and legal analyst Eugene Volokh responded to a CNN panel question about whether the use of religious texts other than the Bible was addressed in law, explaining in a response that has nothing to do with President Obama. Well, the Constitution actually does say a couple of things. First, it doesn't even require congressmen to use any religious text or any religious component. It specifically provides that they may affirm rather than swearing. That was for the benefit of people who have a religious objection to invoking God in an oath. Quakers were a traditional example. And for example, President Herbert Hoover was sworn in without putting his hand on any book. It also says no religious text shall be used for government office. And when you're required to swear on the book of a religion that is different from you, not traditionally you've done it, that would be an impermissible religious test. As for the claims of veracity, New York State Senator Martin Malav Deland published the following status update to Facebook on the 11th of December 2015. It was an honor to join Honorable Carolyn Walker Diallo, the first black Muslim female civil court judge in New York City, at her December 10th inauguration. Justice Walker Diallo presides over the 7th Municipal Court District of East New York, Cypress Hills, Bushwick, and Brownsville. Multiple news sources reported that Walker Diallo used the Quran as her religious text of choice for her swearing in, not the controversy it engendered, and the event was captured on video. A New York City judge is facing a backlash after taking her oath using the Holy Book of Islam in recognition of her Muslim faith. Carolyn Walker Diallo was elected, blah, 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 after attenders posted a video of the swearing-in session to social media. Conservatives unleashed a storm of insults towards the public servant. Sickening, one Facebook user posted in response to the video. In this America or the Middle East, another piece of, I won't say, another user wrote trying to take over this country. The President of the United States is not involved in the selection of New York City municipal judges. Now, Kim LaPria is a New York-based content manager and longtime Snopes.com message board participant. Although she was investigated and found to be probably false by Snopes.com in early 2002, Kim later began writing for the site due to an executive order unilaterally passed by President Obama during a secret late-night session without approval of Congress. Click like and share if you think this is an egregious example of legislative outreach. And so we still don't know if it's true or not. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I thought normally going away but it appears that Snopes, who would be the kind of folks that would say, oh no, that didn't really happen, they appear to actually be saying it actually did happen. Now, let me ask what the member of the audience asked. Why isn't there something being made of this? Why isn't there a greater discussion? This is all very interesting. First I heard of it, quite frankly. Bob Howard, serial street shooters. Man, it's like we got this is from my local neighborhood organization. It's like we might have This is all very fascinating. I suppose I better step back. Let's see. Scott says, to be candid, folks have come to expect a certain level of provocativeness during the current administration. Well, may I say, well said, Scott. So, apparently Snopes said, yeah, it really did happen. And they're the first ones I would expect to say, oh no, that didn't happen. Huh. Interesting. I'll dig into this a little deeper. I'll see if I can get some facts that run a little deeper than Snopes. All right, so boy, we're so much running out of time. We're past time. What have we managed to get up to? We've managed to get up to bonds. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to do this. Okay. Let me go to gold, because I'm supposed to do every day now, not only the Concierge Trade Alerts, but I'm also supposed to do the one trade a days. And if cheapers, gold, buy 1360. Okay. Well, that's crude. I already did gold. Crude, buy 45.20. Okay. Now, you might ask, does he have inside information? No, I don't. 5, 45, 20. You just got to learn how to read a chart. If you want to learn, I'll teach you. It's not that big a deal. So 45.20. This first peak took us up to 46.17. So at 46.20, here, let's do this just for the fun of it. 46.20, right here. 46.20. Okay, that's $1,000 per contract. 1K. Come on. 1K per contract. You do know you can buy more than one contract, right? Okay. Just want to make sure. All right, so 45.20, 46.20. We ain't going to see, we haven't seen 47.20 yet, but we have seen 46.93. And so from 46.20, that's $1,000, 46.20. So that's $1,730 per contract available. Okay. $1,730 per contract available. And yes, this really was
new visitor.
This really was in your inbox last night. Okay. Go check in case you haven't checked. You'll find it. All right. Oh, absolutely, Scott. They're definitely liberals over at Snopes. They do seem to, Scott says, it seems that Snopes do their very best to put conservatives in the worst possible light. I agree 100%. That's why I was so surprised to find what I found. So I don't know. Maybe they turned over a new leaf and decided to be honest. But yeah, they are absolute dyed-in-the-wool liberal, and leave it at that. All right, so crude oil last night. So far, there has been a potential $1,730 per contract. Throw in the CFRN indicators, boom, boom. You know where your entry is, boom, boom. Now, right there, see there's that come back and tap it, okay? You gotta wait for the close on the other side if you're gonna trail on the back side of the BBC. Now this is where we start to get interesting, okay? Because we've already hit that 1K a day where we would just say, you know, be wise, just take $1,000 and go, all right? And then it immediately wanted to take some of it back, but then it reversed.
New visitor.
Leg, retrace, leg, just like any other market. Is now run up $1,730 per contract. And if you haven't taken your profit yet, do I have to get a switch after you, as my mother used to say? Now, we have the step line on the south side of the MA1. We're going to get a bearish close below the step line on the south side of the MA1 on a long trade. Now that's if you ignored this, and that's if you ignored this, which says take your 1,000 and go. But some people like to just trail by the BBC. But look how far this thing's got to drop to close below the BBC. Are you willing to risk all of that? Maybe you are willing to, but do you need to? See? Now, what you could do is you could come right here. You could take this swing low, and you could pull fibs right up here to the top. All right? So, here's the 24% retracement. It might hold there. There's the 38%. There's the 50% retracement. Okay? And if you don't, and if it drops below the 50% retracement and you don't get out, I can't even hardly feel sorry for you, because the writing's on the wall. Okay? So what a beautiful day. $1,700 available in crude if you ignored the $1,000 per contract rule. Go to beans. Hoo-hoo. Did we have a, Michael asked earlier, WASDs don't normally come out on Tuesday. So, doesn't matter. Let's just get this thing over. Because I gotta go. 20, alright. Soybeans. Word was ZSX by 1066. By 1066. Okay? Okay. So we buy 1066. How's that? Close enough? 1066. Okay. So buy 1066. Now, let's face it. The way this thing did this whipsaw, it really does look like there was a report. So I'm going to guess that there was. You scroll down. Did anybody say anything about it? All right, whatever. So by 1066, this thing, the first rally up went to 1079. So that's 13 times 50. 13 times 50. Okay. Now, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Now, because this was spread out over such a great length of time, I don't know that I could blame it on a crop report. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. But important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Off we go again, and this time we get all the way up to 1088.50. So 88 minus 66, that'd be 22.50. 22.50 times 50. That's $1,000 per contract move in beans. After this other move, which was, I keep losing my calculator. Let's see, 13 times 50. 13 times. Oh, that's the bad calculator. Here's the 13 times 50. So this one over here was 650. This was over 1,000. 20 times 50 would have been 1,000. So we got, you know, $1,600 two-legged move. Leg, retrace, leg. Wow, what a nice day for beans. Okay. Okay, this is our daily chart on gold. All right, remember what we said? We would keep watching it. We would wait for this to curl and for these
New
to
visitor.
drop. Okay, this goes back to a partner's workshop. All the partners that were in the workshop that night or have watched that video from that night, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Now, look at this. Follow the horizontal line. Okay. It's at 1308.60. All right. 1308.60. Let's just see. Let's just see what happens over the next couple days. Keep moving. In Q. Alright. Not a lot of moving and shaking in the NQ last night, but we'll take what we can get. NQ. NASDAQ. Buy 56. Sell 51. Buy 56. Sell 51. Sell 51. Okay. So here's buy 56.
Returning visitor.
Here's buy 56. Right.
Returning visitor.
Here. Look at them. Look at that important price, important area. Get tested. All right, 45. 56. 45. Oh. I got all ahead of myself, didn't I? 45, 56. Thank God for humility, then you don't have to be embarrassed. That's more better. 45.56. Okay. Now, let's see. The alerts didn't come out last night until 2300. See right there, 2300. So we didn't get this. We didn't get tricked into anything right here. Okay. Because the Concierge Trade Alerts did not come out until 11 p.m. Eastern. That's 2300 hours. Okay. So if we put this at exactly 45.56 and we buy 45, $56. $45.56. Okay. 45.56. The first swing high right here is 45.79. Okay. And this was by 45.66. Okay. By 45.66. No. Come on, Dwayne. In Q by 45.56. Is that 56? Somebody talk to me. Yes. By 45.66. 45.56. Okay. So 79 minus 56. 79 minus 56 times 20 equals $460 per contract available. Now, contract available. And yes, you can buy more than one contract at a time if you have the money. Okay? And the deal is you can buy more than one contract. You could buy 10 if there was sufficient volume, right? If there was enough volume. Now, when we triggered, how many contracts? In that 30-minute period, there were 754 contracts. So if you're a 10-contract trader or a 20-contract trader, could you have done business there? Absolutely. Not a problem. Then, of course, when Wall Street opened, then you had no problem exiting your... See, you got long here, and then you want to get out over here. You got no problem getting out at the price you want to get out at. That's an important thing. You know, getting into. Now, with equities, it's one of the beautiful things about futures is you can almost always get, based on time of day, of course, but with some of the futures markets, it really doesn't matter day or night, what time. But, you know, with equities, you could be long equities and then, you know, the closest bit, a little bit of bad news might come out. And you look down and the closest bid is so far down there you can barely see it. I mean, you would practically be giving your stock away. So you got to toss and turn sleeplessly for nights, waiting for that piece of bad news to get quelled or disproven or whatever, so that the price of the stock comes out so that you can get out at break even. Oh, what torturous nights those were. I'm so glad that I can just go flat at the end of the day and not worry about it. Thank you, Lord. Okay. Russell. RLUM. Buy 1192. Okay. Buy 1192. I thought I'd make the mass one line up just because. It's close enough. I'm getting lackadaisical here. Okay, buy 1192. That's what the email I sent you said. Buy 1192. So if you did, buy 1192. Okay. This swing high was 1200.4. So you could call that 84 ticks. Which we know is $840. 84 ticks. Okay, and then it drew back, and that might have been just enough to make you say, hey, you know, I think I'm going to take my money and go. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Or, look how it touched it. Isn't that an amazing thing? And then it, carry on my wayward son. All right. Swing high on this thing was 12. Swing high so far, 1209.80. So we'll just round it back to 1209. So 1209 minus 1192 equals 17. That's what I thought it was. But I didn't want to embarrass myself. So, $1,700 per contract available. Now, you might not have got it all. I mean, there were so many hooks and turns and pullbacks in that thing that, you know, you might have got freaked out and left early. Or you might have ran the indicators and you might still be in the trade. You might be getting ready to get out. You might have got out when you hit the $1,000 per contract mark. 1192, 1202. Right there is where you hit $1,000 per contract per day at 1202. Let's just go. 1201.50. That's 1202. Yeah, that's really close. That's where you consider taking your $1,000 per contract. $1K per contract. Now, I'd fully intended today, and I fully intend to do every day, a recap not only of the Concierge Trade Alerts, but also of the one trade a days. The Concierge Trade Alerts will be from last night. The one trade a days will be from yesterday. So we've got yesterday and yesternight. okay? But I'm so pushed for time now because Garrett was kind enough to come on and share with us, and he had stayed longer than he thought he would be able to stay, but I'm glad he was able to come. And so I'll get the charts already done so that tomorrow you don't have to sit here and watch me draw all these lines and try to make them straight. I'll have that all done. It'll be like a slideshow. I'll show you the chart. I'll go, okay, here's what happened. This was the time. This was the alert. This is what happened, etc. Okay? Walk it through them step by step by step. Now remember, there was $1,700 in this Russell trade. There is now less. It's very close. It's getting close. Back down to $1,000. Okay. Now, could it kick off and get another leg under it? Yeah. Could you get out and wait to see if it starts to move higher? Yeah, you sure could. Now, which would be better? Well, I think you know the answer to that, right? Now, we've really leveled off here. We got this 15 points out of the S&P. It's really this is quite a shelf. Here, leg, shelf. So we're doing like a stair step kind of a thing here. So we get a leg, they go sideways for a few hours, so I don't know. All right. I know a lot of you were able to go to Michael's meeting today that are on the trial, and so you may have popped back into the radio show now that Michael's done with his show. So, if you're on the trial, if you have not yet taken advantage
returning visitor
of the personal, private, one-on-one mentoring session, you really need to do that, okay? Now, it's very simple to do. It's so simple, I'll show you. Just go to CFRN.net/Emini,
returning visitor,
and it fills in the blanks on my computer. CFRN.net/Emini-personal-mentoring.
returning visitor,
I will spend 45 minutes of my life with you, finding out who you are, what you do, what you know, how much training you've done, what markets you've traded, and then I will explain to you, not in a sales pitchy kind of way, but in just a, hey, this is what we do. When I left the world of sales, I said, I don't have any intention of ever closing another deal as long as I live. So if you want to become a partner, you literally kind of got to jump up in my lap like a little kitten and lick me on the neck and say, can I please be in your community? You know, it's not that bad. Now Michael, he's got a little sales in him. I'm a little older than he is, not much, but a little bit, and I spent so many years closing so many deals. I don't want to close deals anymore. I want to have a product that is so powerful that when people look at it and see the ability that it has, that it's not a, well, you know, I've been schemed before. I've been scammed before. What's there to scheme? What's there to scam? It's a chart with price. Now, if somebody tells you they got some kind of super duper crystal ball or some magic, you know, fuzzy math that they do that generates these points and meridians and lines and all this nonsense, then yeah, you should run, okay? All we do is teach you how to trade. That's all. Buy high and sell low and buy high, or you can even buy high and sell higher. You can buy low and sell even lower. I mean, price can only go two ways, up or down. Yes, it can go sideways for a little bit, like we just saw on the, just want to make sure you guys get this one more time. Like on the S&P, it goes sideways for a little while now. See how it's starting to droop to the downside? Okay. This is probably where you would start grabbing your fib tool, come over here, say, Because I tell you, at these major fib points, the buyers are gonna try. They may not succeed in putting in a new high. They're gonna try. They tried here. And as this touches, they're gonna try. And as it touches here, they're gonna try. And as it touches, it's like you already have these preordained spots where you know buyers are gonna step in and try to run the market up. Same is true of sellers. Even if they fail to pull it off, okay, even if they can't put in the new high or put in the new low, the sheer fact that they tried often will give you enough movement to pull your 2 points or $100 per contract out of the market. And then you compound. In other words, you don't run out and blow your $100. You leave it in your account. And once you have $2,000 additional in your account after what you opened your account with, you use that money to add a second contract. You still only have to make $100 a day, but when you make $100 a day with 2 contracts, that's $200. And then, when it's time to add your third contract, all you got to do is make $100. But because you're making $100 with 3 contracts instead of 1, it's $300. And then 4 is sort of a special number because that means you're grossing $400 a day. You're grossing $2,000 a week before your commissions. Okay? And for some folks, that might be the best paycheck they've ever made. And we're just getting started. The blueprint, the 2420 blueprint, is designed to walk you contract by contract from 1 to 20 contracts in a period of 24 months. However, you can never add an additional contract except with money you earned in the market. Once you put your own money in to open the account and you go live with 1 contract, you can never add an additional contract with money other than money you earned in the market. That's a rule breaker. That's how people end up in the 90% line and not the 10% line. Also, you can never add more than 1 contract at a time. Well, 1 contract, 2 contracts, 10, it's all the same thing. I just need to make $100. No, there's a lot more to it than that. There's the psychological side, there's the emotional side. That thing got more sides than you can imagine, okay? So what we've done, what we've put together, what we've written, what we have been doing for many years now, we're now in our 2nd decade. A lot of folks in this business don't make it that long. We're very pleased and very grateful and very honored and very humbled to be able to say that we are in our 2nd decade. We'd love to have you as a part of our community, as a part of our family. If you don't know what to do next, go to our homepage at CFRN.net, learn a little more about us. Make sure you watch that video down about the middle of the first page that talks about being a trader. And then go to apply.cfrn.net CFRN.net. Take our free trial. It really is free. There's no credit card required. There's no gotcha. It's just free. I know in this world very little is free, but our free trial really is free. We won't ask to hold your credit card until the end of the week. It's just free. Not only is it free, but we have arrangements with a couple of different platform and data providers, so you'll be able to get a platform and a live data feed that will last you the entire free trial, and whichever data provider you choose, if you already have NinjaTrader, I can turn your indicators on today. If you don't, if you would like to download DT Pro from Daniel's Trading, then we can have that downloaded and those indicators turned on this afternoon just as easily. Now, if you don't know what to do, email support@cfrn.net, call 949-42-EMINI, and they'll take care of you. First class treatment guaranteed. Okay? And let me say it one more time. It won't cost you a dime. It really won't. I thank you so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-host and guest. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.